This boy named Si-jun goes to his professor's office, and the professor is amazed at how easily Si-jun can work out all kinds of hard problems without much trouble. But then the professor asks why Si-jun is suddenly leaving and even wonders if it is because the pay is too low. Si-jun right away shakes his head and says that is not the reason, but it is because he has found something else that he really wants to do. The professor tells him to just go home and get some rest since he has already been working the whole weekend, but Si-jun strangely asks if the professor is not curious to know what it is that he wants to do. The professor simply replies that whatever it is, it might be the best thing for him. The professor then asks if the school called Gwangjin High School is the one Si-jun goes to, but after saying that, the professor quickly follows up by asking if Si-jun wants to try playing soccer. Both the professor and Si-jun start laughing together since they know he is much more of a nerd than an athlete. Later that night, Si-jun spends time looking over more of the professor's notes, but while studying he comes across a different page, and when he reads what is written there, it strangely sounds just like a poem. Looking at the birds, he starts observing their movement through math's point of view. He wonders why they are making a formation and everything. He then gets out of his thoughts and focuses on writing instead. His biggest problem is that he thinks everything around him is maths. To improve his writing, he visits his teacher daily. Sometime later, he secretly visits his writing teacher's house but finds his hot daughter named Ara instead. At the same time, a soccer player named Hyung is having a talk with his friend who is not in Korea right now because of some personal situation. His friend is staying in England, and his Liverpool coach tells him to keep joining training camps and different practices until FIFA finally removes the ban. Hyung explains that the school he goes to only has students who play soccer just for fun, and when they go against him, they cannot even touch him. So, he really needs someone who can keep up with his speed. Right then, Si-jun shows up riding a bicycle and quickly throws newspapers into people's houses in a sudden flash. Hyung is surprised and impressed to watch Si-jun land newspapers even from 5 meters away and notices that Si-jun looks to be around the same age as him. The guy quickly runs off in the opposite direction to try and catch up with Si-jun, but instead he finds him just sitting outside of Ara's house. This makes him think Si-jun is kind of a weirdo. All of a sudden, Hyung notices that a flower pot is falling down from a nearby house, and it looks like it is about to land right on Si-jun. He rushes over as fast as he can and manages to pull Si-jun away to save him, but the heavy pot ends up crashing straight on Hyung's head instead. Right after that, Si-jun doesn't stick around and just takes off running. A moment later, a guy named Tae-jun shows up and holds out a newspaper with a headline, asking Hyung if he had planned the whole thing. Hyung quickly answers that he did not, but when he turns around to look again, he realizes Si-jun has already slipped away. Meanwhile, Si-jun feels that ever since he was little, everything in his life has always been one problem after another. He remembers how he used to believe that numbers were the most important thing in the whole world, but then one day he faced a question that he just could not solve no matter how hard he tried. After that moment, he began writing his own novel, and the main character in his story is based on his pretty classmate that he often thinks about. At the same time, Hyung keeps on drifting off and daydreaming about everything that happened the day before, so his teacher gets angry at him and scolds him for not listening during class. Soon after, the teacher also notices Si-jun scribbling and drawing inside his notebook instead of paying attention to the lesson. The teacher knows very well that Si-jun is smart when it comes to math, so he gives him a hard problem and says that if he cannot solve it, then he will show the whole class what Si-jun has been secretly drawing in his notebook. Si-jun does not waste any time and quickly solves the problem without much effort, which makes the teacher upset, and he tells Si-jun to follow him straight to the office. At the same time, Hyung finally realizes that the boy is actually Si-jun and that they are in the same school, so he begins thinking about how he will punish him later. After that, a boy named Jong-han goes to Hyung and tells him that it will take him 3 full weeks to recover, which means he cannot play soccer at all during that time. Jong-han reminds Hyung that they used to be one of the most respected and prestigious teams in the whole nation, but now they have dropped all the way to the bottom of the rankings almost overnight. He then blames Hyung for destroying the team and for being on such bad terms with the players who ended up getting kicked out. Right then, Hyung suddenly notices Si-jun standing in the field, and Si-jun looks at the situation in the same way he did when he solved the math problem in class earlier. He quickly works out all the numbers in his head and kicks the ball so perfectly that it goes straight into the basket. Afterward, Hyung runs over and stops Si-jun, saying that he risked his own life to save him before, yet now Si-jun is just avoiding him as if nothing happened. He then asks Si-jun what he is going to do to make up for his broken legs, but Si-jun only answers that he honestly has no idea at all. Hyung quickly grabs hold of him and drags him straight over to Jong-han, which makes Si-jun nervous and he apologizes right away for everything that happened earlier. Later on, Hyung decides to test whether Si-jun is even fit for soccer or not, so he tells him to try dribbling practice and also do some lifting drills. But Si-jun ends up failing badly in every single one of them, since he has never played soccer in his entire life. After seeing this, Hyung asks how he was able to kick the ball so perfectly and so accurately before, and Si-jun explains that he only followed the same type of problem that he had worked out in class earlier. Afterward, Hyung takes Si-jun to meet his soccer team and tells everyone that this is the secret weapon he has been talking about. When the team hears this, many of them get annoyed, and all the strange-looking players start asking Si-jun questions about himself. After that, they all get ready and begin a practice match, and Hyung patiently explains all the soccer rules to Si-jun before it starts. The game kicks off, with all the players running fast across the field, jumping and dashing with the ball as they go. Everyone is shocked at how incredibly fast Hyung is, but when someone tries to steal the ball from him, he quickly uses clever tricks to run away and keep it. Then the ball is passed to Si-jun, who feels nervous and scared, but he remembers what Hyung told him earlier, that if he ever gets the ball, he should shoot it at a very specific angle to make it count. Afterward, Si-jun kicks the ball and it goes straight through the middle of all the players, leaving everyone completely stunned for a moment. The ball travels exactly to the spot Hyung told Si-jun to aim for, but Hyung is a little late to reach it because he got distracted for just a second. The goalkeeper quickly grabs the ball, and Hyung realizes that if he hadn't been careless and stopped in the middle for a moment, he probably could have made it in time. Even so, the coach notices that it was an almost perfect kick, a low ground ball that slipped right through the defense's area of coverage. After that, all the players start trying to steal the ball from each other, and the red-haired player comes up to Si-jun and asks him what position he plays, which leaves Si-jun confused because he honestly has no idea at all. The ball rolls toward Si-jun, and he quickly calculates everything in his head, but because it is moving so fast, he ends up missing it completely. After that, the match finally ends, and Hyung tells everyone that this is just how good Si-jun really is. However, the other players start asking if soccer is really just about passing the ball in place. The red-haired player then tries to prove to everyone that kicking a ball from a still position is easy, so he gives it a shot, but he fails badly and embarrasses himself. Afterward, the red-haired guy and Hyung start arguing about it, but then another player named Ji-hyun shows up. Even the team captain, Tae-jun, becomes fascinated when he sees Ji-hyun, along with the other players who are all watching closely. After a short while, Ji-hyun tells Si-jun that if he wants to officially join the team, he will have to take a test first. Hyung quickly asks who Si-jun will be playing against, and Ji-hyun says that he himself will play against him. He explains that the test is to hit a series of targets set at different distances, and the player who kicks the ball in the right order and knocks down all the targets first will win. He also adds that their test will take place next week, so Hyung immediately says that they are going to start special training right away today. The next day, Si-jun goes out to continue with his newspaper delivery job, thinking to himself that he really does not want to get involved with Hyung again. Suddenly, Hyung shows up out of nowhere and tries to start a conversation with Si-jun, who immediately decides to run away as fast as he can. However, Hyung quickly catches up to him and apologizes sincerely for what happened yesterday. Just at that moment, Ara appears, and Si-jun feels so shy that he turns around and runs off as quickly as possible. Ara then asks Hyung if he knows who Si-jun is, but Hyung has no idea. So, she asks Hyung if he is going to school this time, and Ara says that she still has some things she needs to organize at the library, so she is heading there. Later on, Hyung, Tae-jun, and another player sit together in front of a manager, preparing for whatever comes next. Meanwhile, the short guy asks Tae-jun why Ji-hyun hasn't cancelled the test, but Tae-jun just shrugs and says that there's no way he could ever beat Ji-hyun. Suddenly, Tae-jun overhears some students talking about how the soccer team was almost about to disband, and he immediately gets lost in his own thoughts, thinking about everything that happened. At the same time, Si-jun is sitting in class and drawing something in his notebook about the same story with Ara, but then he starts worrying that he might have told too much to Hyung earlier. Just then, a fat classmate who is known for being a loser comes up, grabs Si-jun's notebook, and starts reading out loud about Si-jun's love story in front of the whole class. He shoves Si-jun aside, and just as he is about to read the girl's name, Hyung suddenly arrives and snatches the notebook from his hands. Right afterward, the group of losers closes the classroom door behind them and punches Hyung hard in the face. Later, Hyung and Si-jun sit together on the rooftop, and Si-jun asks Hyung if his injured eye is going to affect his soccer playing. Hyung says it doesn't really matter at all. Then Hyung starts reading Si-jun's notebook about his love story and suddenly asks if Ara is actually the main character, which makes Si-jun's face turn bright red with embarrassment. After that, Hyung suggests a few more ideas to twist the story in different ways, and Sejun listens carefully and realizes he really likes the changes. The next day, Sejun trains under Hyung's supervision, and it has to be said that Sejun looks really stylish during his practice. Sejun misses a lot of his shots and Hyung tries to explain that he needs to change his stance and change the way he hits the ball, but Sejun doesn't understand what he means. Hyung grabs a ruler and uses numbers to explain exactly what Sejun needs to do on the field. Sejun immediately understands the concept and manages to hit the target without any problems at all. Then Hyung explains the basic fundamentals of football, which include dribbling, passing, and shooting techniques. He tells Sejun that he doesn't need to master all 3 skills because if he becomes really good at one area, his teammates will cover for what he lacks in other areas. Football is a team game that requires everyone to work together. He also calls him Turtle because of how slow his movements are and tells him that he needs more training sessions to improve his physical condition and fitness. Hyung is impressed that Sejun can take his mathematical calculations and actually apply them to the field during practice, and this shows genius-level thinking ability. Meanwhile, the football team is training on the field while Ji-hyun is just lying on the grass area, sleeping peacefully. Players who don't know him very well call him lazy and say that this behavior is probably why he got kicked out of the youth team in Japan. Other players defend him by saying that he's actually a great player, which leads to a flashback scene of when Ji-hyun used to play football actively. Then a red-haired guy says that Hyung can't even compare to Ji-hyun's skill level. The narrator basically says that this guy must be truly amazing at playing football. Back to Hyung and Sejun's training session as they continue practicing together, but Sejun starts missing shots again, which surprises Hyung because he didn't expect Sejun's endurance to be so low during training. Hyung decides to stop the training session since the trial is tomorrow, but Sejun doesn't want to stop practicing yet. Hyung tells him that it's enough for today because pushing further could cause an injury to happen, and Sejun agrees with this decision, ending their training session. Later that night, Ji-hyun is sitting in his room trying to study his books, but he ends up just watching videos on his device instead of doing homework. Taejun knocks on the door and enters the room, asking if Ji-hyun can take over the team captaincy position from him. Ji-hyun refuses the offer, saying that it's way too much work and responsibility for him, but he agrees to do one favor for Taejun: handle the annoying Hyung and his rookie player, Sejun, during their trial. Also, it gets mentioned that if Sejun loses the trial tomorrow, Hyung will have to leave the team completely. The next day, everyone from the team is gathered at the trial site location. Even Ji-hyun is there warming up his body for the competition. They're all told that Taejun, who is the team captain, can't attend the trial today, so Ji-hyun will be the judge instead of him. Most of the team members think that Sejun won't show up to the trial, but suddenly he and Hyung appear at the site, both looking confident and ready. Ji-hyun welcomes Sejun to the trial and thanks him for coming to participate, saying that he thought Sejun would be too scared to show up. Hyung tells Sejun that he should apologize to Ji-hyun right now because he's about to face the most embarrassing moment of his entire life, which annoys Ji-hyun even more than before. Afterward, they explain the rules, which first rule is to pass the trial. They must knock down all the targets before their opponent does. Second rule is they take turns shooting, with only 10 seconds per attempt to make their shot. Third rule is a shot only counts as valid if it hits the target that sits on top of the cone. The first attempt belongs to Ji-hyun from 10 meters away as he misses the target by just a few inches, which calms Hyung's nerves. Sejun shoots from the same distance and hits his target perfectly, exciting Hyung about their chances. However, Ji-hyun's second attempt fails again to hit the target. Afterward, Sejun makes his first attempt at the 20-meter target and he quickly calculates everything in his head, including the exact position of the target and the speed of the wind. Hyung whispers quietly that even if Sejun wants to calculate it, the wind won't stay consistent and won't adjust to him. Suddenly, Sejun has an idea and realizes that because the wind is changing in an irregular way, he shouldn't be trying to calculate it like normal. Instead, he waits carefully for the wind, and when he senses the right moment, he quickly kicks the ball. It flies perfectly and hits the target exactly as he planned. Now the score is 2 for Sejun, and everyone who sees that kick is completely stunned, unable to believe how accurate it was. Hyung wonders to himself how Sejun managed to use the back of the foot kick even though he never taught him that technique before, and he can't help but feel impressed. After that, Ji-hyun tries the 10-meter target for the third time, and this time he finally manages to score a point. Soon, the game reaches the last target, and Sejun kicks the ball after quickly calculating everything. Hyung feels confident that it is going to hit, but surprisingly, it misses. Then Ji-hyun takes his turn, kicks the ball, and scores 2 points, which makes their scores even. Ji-hyun tells Si-jun that soccer isn't always about calculations, it also depends on the sense and instincts built from experience. After that, Si-jun tries his second attempt at the last target, but the ball doesn't hit, and he fails his calculation again. Finally, Ji-hyun takes his last shot, hits the goal perfectly and wins the test. However, Ji-hong notices that Ji-hyun also manages to hit the cone successfully, but Hyung keeps wondering what is wrong with Si-jun and why he is having so much trouble. After that, Si-jun tries his third attempt at the 30-meter target, but once again, the ball lands in the same spot as his previous kicks and misses the target. Ji-hong realizes that Si-jun's problem isn't his skill or his ability to calculate, but rather that his physique is too weak and not disciplined like a proper football player's. Si-jun himself also comes to understand that his leg strength is too weak to match his advanced calculation ability, which is why he keeps missing. Meanwhile, Taejun is in a meeting with the principal, who tells him that the soccer team will not be disbanded for the time being, but there is a condition attached. The principal explains that the team has been playing under the name of tradition for too long, so they must eliminate all bad or unfair practices from the team. He also mentions that a new coach will be joining them soon to help guide the players. Meanwhile, Ji-hyun tells Si-jun that he doesn't care if he wins or if the soccer team gets disbanded. He then asks Si-jun if he really wants to win, saying that he can even let him win if that's what he wants. After that, Ji-hyun takes another shot, but this time he misses the target. He turns back to Si-jun and says this will be his last chance. Si-jun knows his legs are weak, but he still decides to calculate carefully one more time. He quickly sets himself up and kicks the ball. At first, it looks just like his earlier kicks, going straight down toward the ground. Everyone assumes he is about to lose, but then the ball bounces off the ground and taps the target perfectly. The whole crowd freezes in shock before realizing he scored, and then Ji-hyun smiles and congratulates Si-jun for passing the test. Afterward, Hyung celebrates loudly and congratulates Si-jun on his successful performance during the trial. Then we get introduced to the boys from Sujin High School and their coach, who is named Kwang, who had just achieved a 1-0 victory against one of the most prestigious high schools that is called Hanyang. The coach tells all of them not to celebrate too much about their win since their next match, which would decide if they advanced to the national tournament competition, was going to be against Wang High School, where the young player Si-jun currently played on the team. He adds to his players that in the past they would have surely lost that match, but with the current situation happening with Hyung's team right now, all they had to do was play their regular football game and they would definitely win, since only 3 players on their team could really be a serious problem for them, mentioning the team captain, Hyung, and Ji-hyun as threats, saying that the rest of the players were just extras who didn't matter much. Back with the boys at their training area, Hyung explains all the rules of football to Si-jun, teaching him all the basic fundamentals of the game. He tells Si-jun that he really needs to improve his ball control skills and his passing reception abilities if he wants to succeed. But Si-jun doesn't understand anything that Hyung is trying to teach him, and since Hyung doesn't know any other way to explain these concepts clearly, he decides to ask Ji-hyun to help train Si-jun instead. Ji-hyun refuses the request right away without thinking about it, but suddenly he warns both of them by shouting, and when Hyung turns his body around to look, he gets hit hard by a ball that came from the former team members. Later, Si-jun decides to go ask Ji-hyun to train him on the field. However, Ji-hyun asks if he is good at studying as he might need help. Later, everyone gathers in the room where Ji-hong tells them that in the first round of the national championship tournament, they're going to be playing against Sujin High School as their opponents. All of the team members except Hyung and the team captain start celebrating and getting excited, since they think and believe that this particular school is the weakest team in the whole league. But captain tells all of them that maybe that would have been true in the past, but right now at this moment, their own team is missing almost half their players, so they're probably the worst team in the league instead. Ji-hong tells them more information that Sujin actually beat another prep school during a practice game, and that after they got a new coach to help them, they became a completely different team from what everyone used to know about them. A boy who has orange hair tells everyone that they even managed to get a tie game against Real Madrid's youth team, which really surprises all the players. Hyung and the redhead ask Ji-hong who this guy called Nano is that keeps talking so much, but then they figure out and realize that he's actually their new coach, Siwoo. He explains to all of them that for right now, he's not going to change anything they do and they can keep playing the way they want in their next game. But he gives them warning that if they end up losing, their club is going to be shut down completely. Meanwhile, Kwang informs players of Sujin School that they will also shut down if they can't win a game. The players think and feel that the whole situation isn't fair to them, but their coach makes them feel calmer and tells them that as long as they trust him and show all the skills they've been learning, they're going to win their game. Later, Ji-hyun is training with Si-jun, who is honestly terrible at soccer and doesn't understand anything Ji-hyun is trying to teach him. Ji-hyun notices this and comes up with a fun and creative way to explain it. He tells Si-jun to imagine that he is a soft pillow and that the ball is a fragile egg coming straight toward him as he has to catch the egg without breaking it. This idea makes Si-jun think really hard, and after doing some mental calculations in his head, he finally realizes that he understands how to do it and feels ready to try. After practicing for a while, Si-jun finally manages to catch and control the ball like a pro, and he does it all in just one afternoon of focused training. Later on, Hyung arrives and starts arguing with Ji-hyun, saying that there is no way they will make it past the first round of the tournament. After Hyung leaves, Si-jun turns to Ji-hyun and asks him if he can teach him something new the next day, and Ji-hyun agrees without hesitation, ready to continue helping him improve. Then we see the Sujin captain training late into the night with the coach. The coach notices that the captain doesn't seem fully focused on his own passion for soccer, but he always helps others around him. Curious, the coach asks why the captain likes soccer so much, but the captain just shrugs and says that he doesn't really know. At the same time, Si-jun and Ji-hyun are also training late into the night, practicing over and over until they finally finish. The session ends when Si-jun carefully holds the ball, feeling proud of what he has learned. The next morning, Si-jun wakes up with his whole body aching from all the heavy training. Despite the cramps, everyone begins their own practice sessions, knowing that tomorrow is the big match. Finally, the day of the match arrives. In the stadium locker room, Si-jun sits nervously, realizing that none of his teammates have shown up yet, not even Hyung. He starts wondering where they all are when a boy he doesn't recognize walks in. The boy introduces himself as Namju and casually tells Si-jun that he did a great job during the test. Si-jun feels awkward, since he has never seen this guy before, but Namju just smiles and adds that he really impressed Ji-hyun. Just then, Hyung finally walks into the locker room, and the moment he does, every teammate turns their head and stares at him, as if ready to kill him. Ignoring their glares, Hyung scares Namju, who quickly backs off. A few minutes later, the whole team gathers together as Ji-hyun steps forward with a sheet of paper in his hand. He posts up the list of players for today's match and announces that the head coach will be arriving soon. As everyone scans the list, Woo-jin furrows his brow. Something feels wrong when Ji-hyun's name does not appear anywhere on the list. Looking confused about the whole situation, Woo-jin thinks there has to be some kind of mistake happening here. But what really happened was that earlier Ji-hyun had gone directly to the coach and told him personally that he was not feeling well enough to play. At the same time, on the other side of everything, Sujin's coach is already getting his players excited and ready, talking through their strategies and making final adjustments as they get prepared to completely crush their opponents in the upcoming match. After all of this preparation happens, both teams walk into the stadium together, and a boy whose name is Shin Sol starts wondering out loud what kind of game they are going to play in such a huge stadium, but his friend Namtae thinks that Sujin is definitely going to win this match. After that, the match starts with Taejun having the ball, and the Sujin players all think he is the center of the attack, so it puts a lot of pressure on them when they face him. At the same moment, Shin Sol tells Namtae that Gwangjin is at a disadvantage today, because one team is full of confidence since they already caught the well-known Hanyang High School and their spirits keep rising higher. On the other hand, the other team is totally broken apart, completely falling down and losing its shape. He thinks that even Hyung cannot really lead the team as the ace because he is hurt and cannot play well. He also believes that Taejun is the first choice for the attack and at the same time the main core of the defense that is left, while Ji-hyun does not bring much effect on the field. The old head coach of Gwangjin School is known for being very strict and careful, and only the best and most skilled students were chosen for the lineup. Because of this, in a team that keeps following such a hard and rigid system, Ji-hyun has managed to stay as an important member ever since he first joined as a freshman. In the match, one player from Sujin struggles hard against Taejun and tries to make an attack, but he cannot do it because Taejun stands strong like a solid rock. Right after that, Taejun quickly pushes the ball forward and Ji-hyun is the one who takes it. Soon the ball reaches Hyung, and Taejun runs up to support him as well. But the Sujin players completely block all the passing routes, so the only thing left for them is to catch the right timing for the shot and stop it. Even so, Taejun suddenly takes the ball again and fires a strong shot straight through the defenders, and it goes in as a clean goal. When they watch that goal happen, the Sujin players figure out that their coach was telling them the truth and they begin to get fired up and filled with extra energy. Before this moment, the coach had explained to them that at the beginning of the game, they were going to let the first goal go to Gwangjin team on purpose without trying to stop it. He thinks that the quicker they lose a point early on, the better things will turn out for them later when the match continues. Now in the present time, the players finally understand that the reason their coach told them that plan was to make sure they would not break down or fall apart mentally when they end up losing a score. The coach of Sujin High School believes that his players have the power to score and also stronger physical strength, and because of that they actually hold the upper hand against Gwangjin. After that, the Sujin players get fired up since they want to prove themselves to their coach. They start running fast with the ball and passing it quickly to each other when Hyung suddenly shows up in front of them. Taejun and Jihong both realize right away that the way the opponents are moving has suddenly changed. The Sujin players quickly rush straight toward the goalkeeper, but one player from Gwangjin slips up against someone and Sujin ends up getting a free pass. They throw the ball in, and it almost gets to the Gwangjin members, but a Sujin player takes control of it instead and now he is standing right in front of Woo Jin, the goalkeeper of Gwangjin. He goes for a shot but at that very moment Jihong quickly slides in and steals the ball away. At the same time, the coach of Gwangjin thinks that Sujin's team is actually more talented than he first expected, because in a situation where they do not stay compact like this, too many set pieces will not be effective. He believes that to turn the game around, the only way is to make use of each player's ability just like they did when scoring the first goal. Taejun, however, feels that even though they are ahead on the scoreboard, it is actually their side that seems mentally shaken, and if the match keeps going this way, they will end up at a disadvantage in the second half. After that, the ball gets thrown onto the field again and the Gwangjin players quickly rush in to grab it. Then the members make a long pass to send the ball toward Hyung. However, Hyung gets the ball on the outside and the referee raises the flag on him. When that happens, Si-Jun asks Ji-hyun what mistake Hyung made, and Ji-hyun explains that he was caught in an offside trap. After that, he describes what an offside trap is and thinks it is a risky tactic that they cannot use unless the whole team is fully organized. At the same time, the Sujin players realize that Hyung's speed does not look threatening anymore, and their coach believes the move was perfect since the line control was carried out almost to perfection. After that, the game keeps going and a player from the other team kicks the ball toward the goal, but Woo Jin steps in and makes the block. He quickly throws the ball to a Gwangjin teammate, who then tries to pass it to Hyung, but the ball ends up going off to another spot. Right after, Hyung and the others quickly build a connection and move past the Sujin defenders together. Hyung sprints fast toward the goal, but one Sujin player stretches his leg out and hits him, making Hyung lose balance and fall down on the ground. When he sees that moment, the coach of Sujin wonders if Hyung had managed a full breakthrough, their team would already be in a losing spot. But the referee only shows a yellow card, which means the Sujin player who tripped Hyung will not be sent off. That Sujin player thinks to himself that if he had not stopped the play with a foul, it could have been dangerous since Hyung's speed is truly frightening. The Sujin coach also believes that Hyung had been hiding his speed the whole time to surprise their defense, but he thinks the pain from the foul will not go away quickly because it happened right when Hyung was sprinting at full speed. After that, the match carries on and the ball goes to Ji-hong, who notices Hyung struggling hard against two Sujin players. He looks around, trying to find another way to pass, but every single path is blocked by the Sujin players. So, he quickly sends the ball to Taejun, who is the only one that can turn the situation around. Just as Taejun is about to reach the ball, a Sujin player jumps in and hits it with his head. Even so, the ball falls to another Gwangjin teammate, who passes it right back to Taejun. Since Taejun is already locked with a defender, he uses the trapping direction technique and kicks the ball with full force toward the goalkeeper. The ball makes contact with the keeper and bounces back out onto the field, and Taejun makes another attempt to score, coming very close to getting a goal with a header, but this time the goalkeeper manages to catch the ball safely in his hands. Right after that moment happens, the first half of the match comes to an end and all the players start complaining about how things are going. While their coach explains to them that the other team is reading their play patterns and figuring out what they are going to do next. At the same time, Sujin's coach already holds the training data of every player, and that is the reason his team can predict the moves so well. He understands that most of his players are not very good at soccer, and they also do not have an ace who can lead the team on his own. So, he comes up with a solution for them, which is to build extreme organizational strength by working fully as one group. His plan is to make all 11 players move and act together as if they are a single unit. During training, he divides the players into smaller groups to erase their weaknesses quickly in a short time. After raising their statistical performance, they also focus on position training, and the purpose of this is to make sure that each player can handle at least 2 or more roles in addition to his main position. Back in the present, the second half begins as a Sujin player steals the ball right away from Hyung. At the same time, 4 players rush to stop Taejun, and they start passing the ball quickly among each other. Soon, one of them ends up face to face in a one-on-one with Woo Jin, the goalkeeper. Right after that happens, a flashback shows the Sujin players getting together for their last hangout before the big match, and during this time they decide to spend the whole night with each other while they talk about their weaknesses and stay honest with one another about everything. When the story comes back to the present time, Dong-soo starts running forward toward Woo Jin, and at the same time right behind him, the captain of Sujin also begins his own run toward the goal area. But then Dong-soo quickly decides to pass the ball over to his captain, and the captain sees the chance that is right in front of him and takes it to score the goal for their team. After that, another player from Gwangjin gets ready to step into the game, and Sujin's coach realizes that their last card is about to be used. But the Gwangjin coach stops him and tells him to sit back since his arm is still hurt, then he calls Namju to get ready instead. Meanwhile, Ara and her friends arrive late at the stadium to watch the match, and they quickly notice that Hyung does not look well at all. The Sujin coach thinks to himself that the performance of Gwangjin's main players has gone beyond what he expected today. He believes that Taejun, as captain, stands as the pillar of the whole team. Still, Taejun mainly shows the effect of the first goal through their individual skill. The coach also thinks that Hyung has been the top contributor and the most important player for Gwangjin's side. He also believes that, unlike Gwangjin, their team has plenty of backup players to rely on. Meanwhile, Hyung feels that the pain in his leg is not going away at all. Suddenly, the Sujin players start moving all over the field in a set pattern, showing that their coach is the one controlling their actions. Jihan manages to slip past one defender who was trying to block him and takes a shot toward the goal, but he misses the target completely and then falls down hard on the ground because of the effort he put in. Seeing this happen on the field, Jung-hwan tells the coach that he needs to go onto the field right now to help the team and make a difference. At the same time, Hyung also asks the coach for a replacement player because his leg injury is causing him a lot of pain and makes it completely impossible for him to keep playing in the match any longer. However, the coach instructs Jung-hwan to clean up the mess that is on the ground first before he can think about going in, and instead the coach decides to send Si-jun in as the replacement player. The game starts again, and it looks like Ji-hong is doing okay now as the referee shows his sign for a substitution to happen, and Si-jun walks onto the field to play. Feeling nervous about everything, he tells Hyung that he does not think he can do this, but Hyung cheers him up. He tells him that this is his big day since the goddess Ara has come to watch the match, and he should try to stand out from everyone. He also says that the only thing he feels sorry about is not playing their first match together with Si-jun, but he trusts Si-jun and believes in what he can do. This talk gives Si-jun the courage he needs as he steps into the game. The match keeps going the same way, with Sujin still attacking so hard that they shoot at the goal again, but the redhead keeper stays ready and catches the ball without any problems. He kicks the ball toward the middle of the field, where it heads it toward Si-jun, who stops it with his chest like a pro player. Sujin starts a big attack that makes Si-jun move back toward his own goal, but Ji-hong does great by getting in the way of the ball and starting a counterattack that catches Sujin off guard. Ji-hong passes to Namjoon, who trips and lets the ball roll out of bounds. Si-jun helps him get up, and Namjoon takes this chance to say some words that really motivate Si-jun and make him feel better. Now Ji-hong has the ball in the middle area but cannot find a way to get past Sujin's defense. Si-jun asks for the ball to come to him. Ji-hong thinks about it for a moment but then passes it to Si-jun. Afterward, Si-jun analyzes the situation on the field carefully and decides to send a through pass that seems like it is meant for no one in particular, but Esteban, who is the team captain, suddenly appears out of nowhere to receive the brilliant pass and shoots the ball toward the goal with great power. The goalkeeper dives through the air to try to stop it, and just as the ball is about to go into the net and score, a defender from the other team clears it away at the last second, saving Sujin from giving up a goal. Ji-hong congratulates Si-jun for his amazing play, telling him that from now on during this match, he will be the key player to winning the entire game for their team. Ji-hong attacks again with another offensive play, and once more Si-jun gets control of the ball, giving a really good forward pass to the captain who is running ahead. But because of exhaustion and being tired from playing so hard, Esteban cannot reach the ball in time to do anything with it. Sujin's coach orders his team to defend and not attack anymore, planning to win the match in extra time when both teams are more tired. In the 87th minute of the game, Si-jun gets another good chance to make a play. As Esteban pushes forward toward the goal, Si-jun prepares to shoot the ball himself, but a Sujin defender slides in to try to stop him, and the referee blows his whistle for a foul. The Sujin player insists that he never actually touched Si-jun during the play, which is completely true, but from the referee's perspective and angle, it looked exactly like a foul had occurred. So, the defender gets warned by the referee and Team Gwangjin is given a free kick as a result of the penalty. Si-jun gets up from the ground, and Ji-hong explains the situation to him, telling him that he must take the free kick shot because he is their best option and the player most likely to score. While Si-jun prepares himself to take the important kick, all the other players also set themselves in their positions on the field. After calculating the distance and angle very carefully in his mind, Si-jun looks over at Hyung, who makes a hand gesture that boosts his confidence and makes him feel better about taking the shot. Everyone on the field is waiting and watching to see what will happen, including Era and her friends who are in the stands cheering for the team. Sujin's coach orders his team to mark Esteban very closely and watch him, assuming that Si-jun will aim the ball toward him since he is the tallest player on the team and good at heading. Si-jun shoots the ball and it heads toward Esteban, who jumps up to head it toward the goal with all his strength. The goalkeeper moves quickly toward the spot where he thinks the header will go after Esteban hits it, but surprise as the ball goes over Esteban's head completely and curves into the top corner of the goal. With that incredible goal, the score becomes 2-1 in Gwangjin's favor during the last few minutes of the match when it matters most. Later after the game ends, we learn the real meaning of Hyung's hand signal that he made to Si-jun before the kick. Si-jun thought the gesture meant that his calculations were not wrong and he should trust himself, but in reality, Hyung actually meant that Si-jun should aim the ball directly for the captain's head instead of trying to score directly. After the match ends, everyone on Sujin's team begins to cry because of the painful loss and each of them remembers their own sad moments that make it even harder. Their coach Young Kwang-soo was also humiliated in the past as his senior told him he can't be a coach he has never played in the stadium. On the other hand, Si-jun thinks that it's all because of the goal he scored that those people's dreams have been crushed. The players of Sujin look completely devastated by the defeat, and this sight deeply moves Si-jun. He walks over and tries to comfort them, but Hyung steps in and stops him, saying that it will only make them feel worse and that in football you either win or lose, so it is better for them to learn that lesson. Hearing this makes Si-jun angry and he turns away and walks off from Hyung. Before leaving, both teams line up and thank their coaches, and Gwangjin's coach tells Sujin's players that this loss will give them more valuable lessons for the future. Meanwhile, Sujin's coach turns to Si-jun and asks how long he has been playing football and Si-jun answers that it has only been about a week, which leaves the coach completely shocked. After that, Sujin's coach goes down on his knees and apologizes for his poor judgment, but the players quickly tell him that it is because of his efforts that they managed to come this far. At the same time, Era's friends relax as they watch the boys advance to the regional stage, and one of them points out that number 16 looks like he has real potential. On the other hand, Era exchanges glances with Si-jun. She wonders what his name is. The next day, Si-jun feels guilty about crushing another team's dream, but Hyung interrupts his thoughts and asks what it felt like to score his first goal. Si-jun says it doesn't really matter since he's not a real player and doesn't see it as an achievement. Hyung tells him that what he lacks is competitiveness, but with time, he will learn to have it. Just then, Ara shows up, happily greeting Hyung and introducing her friend Micah. Micah clearly likes Hyung and even brings him juice, which he foolishly refuses without thinking. While Hyung gets caught up talking with Micah, Era turns her attention to Si-jun and asks if he was the boy who scored the amazing goal yesterday. Hyung quickly says yes, and Era sweetly introduces herself to Si-jun, congratulating him and telling him that he really surprised her. Si-jun, feeling nervous, barely knows how to respond. Hyung is pleased at first, thinking his plan is working out, but then Era suddenly asks what Si-jun's name is. He answers, but right after that, he quickly says he has to leave and walks away without giving any explanation. This annoys Hyung because it's obvious Si-jun left just because Era didn't even know his name, even though she's in the same class as him. Honestly, that was his chance, and he just threw it away. Later, the coach gathers with the assistant coach, the fitness trainer, and a few others to talk about the team's situation. Right now, the team is at their lowest point when it comes to cooperation, but at the same time, they've shown real toughness. The coach then asks how the regional groups turned out. The assistant explains that they're in group which has very strong teams, including last year's runner-up. To advance, they must at least finish in the top 3. The coach, trying to stay positive, asks about Wan's recovery. But the fitness trainer shakes his head and says Wan won't be able to play in the next match, it's better not to risk him. Then someone asks what's going on with Ji-hyun, since he doesn't seem to want to play. The assistant coach replies that he'll explain later, leaving everyone confused and curious. Later, while Si-jun and Nam-jun are walking together, Si-jun says that scoring the goal felt really good, but at the same time, he also felt sad for the other team. Nam-jun tells him he understands but warns him not to get into trouble again. He says it's hard to explain, but he doesn't want Si-jun to go through the same things he went through. Just then, they are stopped by Hyung and the others from before. They tell Nam-jun to leave because they want to teach Si-jun a lesson. But before that happens, the scene switches to the coach, who is talking with the assistant coach. The assistant asks why he chose to coach this school when he already had the license to lead a first division team. Earlier, Coach talks about how someone he knew from way back then comes to him and offers him a job coaching the kids at this school, and this person wants to pay him a huge amount of money that Coach feels like he cannot turn down, even though he has a first division coaching license that could get him much better job somewhere else. But when Coach finds out that this strange man's son goes to school there as a student, Coach wants to give the money back and not take the job anymore. However, Coach cannot get out of the deal anymore because it is too late to change his mind, so he has to become the coach anyway, and this is how he ends up working as the head coach at the school right now. The assistant coach tells him that he is totally sure the real reason Coach stays at the school is not about the money but is really because of things that happened to him there when he was younger. When Coach is about to give his assistant coach an answer about what he just said, they both see the boys outside through the window and begin watching what the boys are doing out there. Namjoon tries to make Hyung stop bothering Si-Jun and leave him alone, but when one of the bullies starts saying mean things about Namjoon himself, Ji-Hyun comes to where they are and helps Namjoon get away from trouble. The bullies continue to give them a hard time and will not leave them alone, and when Namjoon asks them nicely to please stop what they are doing, the bullies decide to focus on bothering Namjoon instead of Si-Jun. Since Namjoon does not try to fight back against the bullies or defend himself, Ji-Hyun decides he needs to do something and tells the bullies they need to stop being mean to his teammates right now. The fake Hyung becomes really angry at Ji-Hyun and tells him that he knows the real reason why Ji-Hyun had to leave the youth team before, and now Ji-Hyun is trying to take out his anger and frustration on them because of what happened. Ji-Hyun gets really mad when he hears this and tells the fake Hyung that he better explain what he means by that, and Ji-Hyun warns him that if he says anything dumb or stupid, Ji-Hyun is going to beat him up badly. Hyung does not care about Ji-Hyun's warning and begins telling everyone that he knows the real reason why Ji-Hyun had to leave the youth team, and he says it is because Ji-Hyun used money to buy his way onto the team since he did not have enough skill or talent to make it on his own. Hyung even tells everyone that Ji-Hyun paid money to get into Gwangjin High School, which is now one of the schools that everyone respects the most when it comes to playing football. This makes Ji-Hyun so angry and mad that he gets ready to punch Hyung in the face. But Namjoon quickly moves fast and jumps right in between them and takes the punch himself to stop another big fight from happening because he knows it could make the team get shut down completely. Namjoon almost gets down on his knees and begs Ji-Hyun to please stop fighting and calm down. When Hyung is walking away from them, he says more mean things about Ji-Hyun to make him feel bad. This makes Ji-Hyun even more angry than he already was, but right before Ji-Hyun can run after Hyung to attack him, Si-Jun gets in the way and asks Hyung and all the other bullies to please leave them alone and go away. The bullies do decide to leave like Si-Jun asked them to, but before they go away completely, they tell the boys that they are not the real problem that they should be worried about. Meanwhile, in the locker room where Taejun and his group of friends spend time together, they get a visit that they do not want from the third-year students who got kicked out of the school before, and these older students are not welcome there anymore. The team captain right away talks to them in a serious way and tells them that if they came back to the school to get their things and belongings, he will make sure to give everything back to them later by himself. All of a sudden, the old captain who used to be in charge hits the current captain across the face with his hand, and this leaves everyone in the room completely shocked and surprised, and the old captain says that the current captain has been saying too many words lately and needs to be quiet. After the old students spend some time scaring everyone in the locker room and making them feel afraid, it looks like they are getting ready to leave and go away, but then they decide to pay attention to the redhead player instead, and this player looks really scared and terrified of what might happen to him. That decision to focus on the redhead player, however, turns out to be the biggest mistake they could possibly make, because Esteban will not allow anyone to put their hands on his teammates or hurt them in any way. Esteban explains to them that the only reason he did not do anything when they hit the captain in the face was because he did not want to hurt them badly, since he still had respect for them as teammates who used to wear the same uniform and jersey as him in the past. Then one of the guy grabs one of the older students by the neck area and throws him down to the ground really hard. This makes the whole group of older students much angrier than they were before, and they try to attack Esteban and fight him, but Esteban ends up giving all of them a really good beating and wins the fight easily. Their leader finally decides and says that it is time for them to leave the locker room and go away, but before they actually leave and go away completely, they tell the current team members that the next time they come back, things will not be the same as today and will be much worse. Meanwhile, the coach is having a very serious conversation with Hyung, and coach asks Hyung to tell him absolutely everything he knows about how Gwangjin School ended up in the bad situation that it is in right now. Hyung does not want to talk about it at first and feels unsure about sharing the information, but after thinking about it for a while, he finally decides to explain what really happened at the school. Ever since Ji-hong came back to the school from Liverpool where he had been studying and learning, he started to notice all the terrible and wrong treatment that the student players were getting from the school directors who claimed they were doing these bad things to help the players get better and improve their skills. One time, Ji-hong even saw with his own eyes the previous assistant coach hitting and beating the kids with a baseball bat to hurt them. When Ji-hong went to tell the head coach about what he had seen the assistant coach doing to the students, the head coach made Ji-hong stay quiet and not talk about it to anyone else. Starting from that exact moment when the head coach told him to be silent, Hyung made a promise to himself that he would work to change everything that was wrong and messed up in the football club because he really hated the twisted and bad ideas that the club was built on from the beginning. At the same time, Si-jong and Nam-jun are taking another walk together, and during their conversation, Si-jun expresses his worries about Hyung to Nam-jun. Nam-jun responds by explaining to Si-jun that Ji-hyun used to be the top player and ace of the Gwangjin team before he got chosen and selected to join the national team. After sharing this information, Nam-jun starts talking badly about himself and admits that he thinks he is not good at being a senior player, and he believes that if he had been better at his job as a senior, then all the team members could be more united and work together better than they currently are right now. Nam-jun continues to explain his thoughts by saying that all the players on the team are beginning to change and transform, and he believes that all these changes started happening right after Hyung joined and came to the Gwangjin team. Nam-jun remembers that when Hyung first arrived at Gwangjin, Hyung initially thought that the Gwangjin players did not have any good skills or abilities, but after Hyung actually played games and practiced with them, he finally realized and understood that they are actually strong and skilled players. Nam-jun continues talking to Si-jun and explains that because of Hyung's amazing skill and talent, he quickly became one of the most important and valuable players in the club during his very first year, but at the same time he also became one of the most rebellious and difficult players to handle. Nam-jun tells Si-jun that Hyung never allowed the third-year students to scare him or make him feel intimidated by their actions. Since the older players could not control Hyung or make him follow their rules, they decided to start bullying and picking on the rookie players instead of him, and this behavior caused many players on the team to feel angry and upset with Hyung. However, Nam-jun explains that when the other players saw that Hyung never gave up or backed down from standing up to the third year, many of the rookie players started to follow him and look up to him as a leader, which created the possibility for a big change to happen in the team. Nam-jun also mentions that even Won, who was one of the most talented and skilled players on the team at that time, began to support Hyung and stand by his side. Because Won started supporting Hyung, the third-year players decided to hurt and injure Won as a way to send a warning message to everyone else. However, another guy, even though he is a third year, never lays a hand on rookies. Instead, because of his attitude, he often ends up getting beaten by himself. In truth, Esteban is like an idol to many. But what the third year did to Won is something Hyung cannot let slide. Still, many players including the redhead only see him as the reason they get punished by the third year, so they don't have much patience with him. The coach asks Hyung a question and tells him that he knows Hyung is not the type of person who would stay quiet if someone blamed him, so the coach wants to know why Hyung did not do anything until that point. Hyung responds by saying that at that time, he could have easily told the police or shared everything on social media. Hyung explains that he knows the difference between breaking something and fixing it, so he did not want to break the soccer club but instead wanted to fix it and make it better. On that same night when the third-year students were treating the younger players badly, someone had secretly placed a recording camera inside Hyung's locker without him knowing. That same person had also arranged for both the third-year students and the first-year students to meet in the same place, which caused the street fight that led to the scandal everyone already knows about. Because of that fight, the third-year students were expelled from school, but all the blame fell on Hyung and everyone pointed fingers at him. Hyung never admitted to doing anything wrong, but he did suggest ways to improve things and create a healthier team environment for the future. Nam-jun adds that he personally saw Hyung emptying his locker completely, so Nam-jun knows for sure that Hyung never left any camera there, which means someone else from the team must have done it, though Nam-jun does not know who that person could be. Back in the present time, the assistant coach is talking with the main coach and expressing his worries about how they will be able to improve the team's coordination and teamwork for the first league match when the relationships between the players are so damaged and broken. The coach responds by jokingly suggesting that they should take all the players on a camp trip and make them play spin the bottle together, which makes the assistant coach feel annoyed and frustrated with this silly suggestion. Finally, Ji-hyun is seen standing alone on the rooftop of the school building. asking himself a serious question about whether everything he has accomplished and achieved in football really belong to him or not. While Ji-hyun is thinking about this, Hyung and Si-jun happen to come up to the rooftop by coincidence because they want to practice during their recess break time. Hyung says something without knowing that Ji-hyun is there listening to their conversation, and he confidently states that he is definitely better than Ji-hyun as a player. However, Si-jun replies to Hyung by saying that he really likes Ji-hyun as a teammate, because Nam-jun had previously told him that Ji-hyun is an essential and amazing player who is like a crack player for the team. This response annoys Hyung a little bit, so he throws the ball directly at Si-jun, but Ji-hyun quickly stops the ball before it hits Si-jun, which surprises both Hyung and Si-jun completely. Si-jun immediately apologizes to Ji-hyun for everything that happened yesterday during their conflict, and Ji-hyun tells Si-jun not to worry about it and that it is okay. However, Ji-hyun then challenges Hyung directly by saying that if Hyung is so confident and sure about his skills and abilities, then why not have a one-on-one match between them to prove it? Hyung quickly cuts into the conversation and responds by saying that he is ready anytime Ji-hyun wants to play, but the match does not happen right at that moment, so Si-jun asks both of them to calm down and relax. After this scene, the story teaches us some important information about the rival team called Songnam Football Club, or more specifically about some of their best and most talented players on the team. There is a player named Gyu who is a very fast midfielder who is completely obsessed with beating and defeating the fastest players he faces. There is also Hyung who plays as the team's second striker position, and another player named Ji-suk who is also on their team. All of these players train very hard every day and they defeat their rival opponents in matches. Meanwhile, in the locker room, Hyung tries to ask Ji-hong for a favor and requests his help with something that is very important to him, but Ji-hong does not want to cooperate or work together with Hyung at all. Because of this rejection, Si-jun decides to ask Ji-hong personally and invites him to go get ice cream together, hoping that this friendly gesture will convince Ji-hong to agree to help improve Si-jun's defending skills and abilities, since Hyung believes that the coach will probably use Si-jun as a player in the first official match of the season. After thinking about the invitation for some time and considering it carefully, Ji-hong finally accepts the offer and agrees to help them practice and train. At the exact same time, the players from the other opposing team are walking around the local area, and the short player is also eating ice cream that happens to be coincidentally the exact same flavor as the one that Ji-hong likes to eat and enjoys. Because of this strange and unusual coincidence between the two players, these two players who apparently have similar things in common will probably end up disliking each other even more than they already do, which seems weird and unusual but appears to be true. Later on, their paths cross once again when they accidentally run into each other, and during this encounter we see Hyung looking completely shocked and surprised because the guy from the Liverpool team, who is the same exact person he had asked for help before he met Si-jun, now turns out to be playing on the rival team that they have to face in their upcoming match. Afterward, a very exciting chase begins, and Ho joins in because he wants to race Hyung to see who is faster between them. However, Ho is not watching where he is going and crashes into a post, leaving Hyung to continue chasing the Liverpool boy alone. Just when the Liverpool player is about to escape, Hyung surprisingly catches him and stops him. At this moment, we find out that the Liverpool player's name is Ho, and he is apparently a fearsome player who can play in any position, but he is especially like a beast at defending. The next day during training, Hyung tells Ji-hong everything he knows about Job, saying that this information just made their match much harder to win. But Ji-hong tells Hyung to relax because something will be done about it. Also, it turns out that the captain knows Tae-oh personally, and there seems to be some history between them, though they do not explain the details. What they do make clear is that on the field, both players will give everything they have to win. Moving on, we see the coach working on a strategy and telling everyone that the key player in this match will be Nam-jun. Later, Nam-jun shows up where they are practicing. The coach tells Nam-jun something important, though we do not hear exactly what he says, but it is clear that whatever the coach told him is very important for their performance in the match. Later, Si-jun is walking down the street by himself, thinking about how incredibly fast Ji-hong is as a player, but he is feeling a bit sad and down because he cannot stop thinking about the idea that he was the main reason Sun Jin lost the game and ended up feeling so devastated and upset. However, by pure chance and coincidence, he runs into Sujin's team captain on the street, and after they have a long and meaningful conversation together, the captain helps Si-jun understand that what happened was not really his fault at all, and he explains that they still keep fighting and working hard for what they love and are passionate about. The captain wishes Si-jun good luck in the upcoming championship games and asks him to score lots of goals for his team. Moving on to the next part of the story, the day of the big and important match finally arrives for everyone. While Hyung is leaving his home to go to the game, his shoelace suddenly breaks apart, and he immediately says that this broken shoelace is definitely a bad omen and sign for the day. Later on, all the team members get on the bus together to travel to the match location, but Sejun and Hyung decide to go by bike instead because Sejun had accidentally worn slippers instead of his proper football boots when he left home. So he had to go back to his house to get the right shoes, and Hyung decided to go with him to keep him company. At the stadium, we see the coach of Seon team giving clear instructions to his players, and he is very determined and focused on winning the upcoming match. In Ji-hong's locker room, the coach announces which players will be starting in the game, which causes some annoyance and frustration among the team members since he decided to place Nam-joon as the second striker position, and many players say that this is not really his natural position on the field. However, the coach tells all of them to shut up and be quiet because he is the one who is in charge of making these important decisions. The match is about to start very soon, and we see all the players walking out of the locker room in a very epic and dramatic fashion. Nam-joon appears to be very nervous and anxious about the game, but Sejun helps to calm him down and make him feel better. Meanwhile, Martin gets provoked by one of the players from the Seon team, and Martin threatens the opposing player back in response. We also see a small clash and confrontation between the two coaches, where the Seon coach tells Coach Woo that he chose the worst possible team to begin his coaching career with, and he mocks Coach Woo a little bit. But Coach Woo replies back by saying that pressure is something the Seon coach must be feeling, comparing him to PSG team that has lots of money but few actual titles, and he warns the Seon coach to be careful or they will kick him out. After this exchange, the players from both teams greet each other before the game starts. Hyung wishes for a fair and clean game to his former Liverpool teammate Job, and he tells Job that earlier his shoelace broke and he knows exactly what that broken shoelace means as a bad omen, which scares Job a little bit with this comment. And with all these preparations completed, the first match of the tournament officially begins. Ji-suk starts the game with passive ball touches but he remains composed during his play. One of the opposing players ends up positioned directly in front of Sejun on the field. Sejun tries his best to mark and defend against this rival player, but the opposing player skillfully slips the ball right between Sejun's legs and continues advancing forward with the ball, then passes it to his teammate Taejun. Even though Taejun is being marked closely by defenders, he makes a quick 1-2 pass combination with his teammate Jojo, which allows their team to keep possession of the ball. Taejun notices one of his teammates trying to push forward too aggressively and tells that player not to do that, while Taejun himself advances forward with the ball controlled at his feet. Taejun spots another teammate who is positioned in a very good and strategic position on the field, and he sends that teammate a perfect through ball that successfully breaks through the defense line. After receiving this excellent pass, the teammate scores an amazing goal very easily, and the red-haired goalkeeper is completely unable to stop the ball from going into the net. However, the referee's whistle saves the Gwangjin team because the opposing players had used the offside trap strategy correctly, which makes the goal invalid and not count. The little blue player takes this opportunity to boast and brag about Taejun's great passing ability, claiming that Taejun is definitely among the top 3 best passers in the entire region. The other player defends his own team by saying that they also have someone who is much better than Taejun, and he unintentionally ends up praising Sejun without realizing it. Even the goalkeeper joins the conversation by saying that they will soon see what a real and proper pass looks like, which makes Hyung smile happily because Sejun had truly become an important and accepted part of the team. The match resumes and continues with the game. The red-haired goalkeeper passes the ball directly to Sejun, who controls the ball very well with his feet, which surprises the rival coach who is watching from the sidelines. Sejun starts advancing forward with the ball under his control, and he manages to reach the midfield area of the pitch, where he quickly notices that he is being marked and pressured by 3 opposing players, including Job, who is the Liverpool boy he met before. Sejun looks around desperately for passing options and opportunities, but he finds none available since all of his teammates are being marked closely by defenders. However, Hyung moves forward into a better position, showing Sejun an opening and opportunity that allows him to attempt a shot toward the goal. Just when everyone watching thinks that the ball is heading directly toward Hyung's position, the ball suddenly curves through the air and falls exactly where Nam-joon is positioned on the field. Nam-joon receives the ball perfectly on his chest and controls it well. While Nam-joon shields and protects the ball from the defenders around him, Hyung calls out loudly for the ball after successfully dodging and avoiding a defender who was trying to stop him, but instead of passing to Hyung, Nam-joon decides to pass the ball back to his teammate Hyung. However, Hyung was not expecting to receive this pass at all and ends up losing control of the ball to Job, who quickly and immediately passes it to his teammate Taejun. Afterward, another guy runs forward while receiving a long pass that was sent to him from his teammate. Hyung stays positioned far behind Simon, and it looks like Simon will easily reach the ball first and gain control of it without any problems, but Ji-hong joins the battle and competition for the ball. Using his incredible speed and pace, Ji-hong manages to match Simon's running speed, which prevents Simon from taking full control of the ball and surprises the coach who is watching from the sidelines, as the coach becomes amazed by Ji-hong's impressive pace and speed. After that, Taejun tells Si-jun to be ready because he wants the next pass sent straight to him, but on the other side, one of the opposing players warns Hyun that they are using the same pattern as before. The match goes on and Ji-han tells Minkyu to calm the players down and reminds them not to push the defensive line too far forward. Minkyu then thinks that even Ji-hong, who is usually not beaten easily in speed, looks shaken by the opponent's breakthrough. On the other hand, Hyung tells Silrun that they are going to start attacking now, so he should not stress too much about the mistake from earlier. Meanwhile, the coach of the opponent team carefully watches Si-jun and wonders about the way he is showing his ability and how skillfully he is using his feet during the game. The coach asks someone for information about Si-jun, and the person replies that Si-jun scored the winning goal in the last regional qualifying round, but before that there is no record or data about him. After that, Taejun quickly breaks through the defenders of the other team. Si-jun makes a fast pass to Taejun, and Taejun instantly shoots for the goal, but the ball hits the pole and misses. One of the opposing players then thinks to himself that Gwangjin's captain, Taejun, has the sharp ability to judge situations and lead attacks, and his skills might even be on the same level as William. He also thinks that Si-jun has great ability because even when breaking through the fine balance of power and control, he was still able to keep the ball moving at a slow speed and also manage the large drop-off. After that, the match continues and a player from the other team tries to send the ball toward Hyun, who runs to get it, but Woo-jin quickly steps in and blocks it. The ball is then passed back to Gwangjin's side, and this time all the players rush for it, passing among each other for a while. At that moment, the opposing coach watches closely and thinks that Si-jun has the skill to make passes just like his own ideal type of player. After that, with only 3 seconds left, Ji-han and a player from the other team both sprint toward the ball at the same time. In the past, Ji-hong had been a very promising prospect in the world of athletics, but he suddenly chose to take the path of soccer instead. Once he entered high school, he began playing only as a wing-back. Watching Ji-hong now, the coach of Gwangjin realizes just how fast he is, since even professional players in the national leagues can cover 3 seconds, but sprint duels in soccer are always full of surprises. At that moment, Hyung also catches up to the blonde player, running almost as fast as Usain Bolt. Hyung tries to steal the ball by sliding in, but the blonde player jumps over him and keeps running ahead. On the other hand, Ji-han thinks to himself that he will keep running like this until he reaches the goal, so he has to push himself to go even faster. Ji-han manages to close the distance, but the blonde player quickly dodges him and changes direction. Right after that, the blonde player takes a shot, while at the same time Namju and Tae-sik start arguing because Namju accidentally crashes into Tae-sik in the middle of the match. Meanwhile, Hyung realizes that when it comes to speed, the blonde player is at a level far above theirs. In addition, Songnam's key player Ji-suk is known as one of the best passers in the league. After that, the game goes on with Hyung carrying the ball, and now he finds himself up against the player named Ho. But Hyung had wanted Ho to be in Gwangjin because of one very annoying skill that he has. Hyung then tries to run past Ho, but soon he gets surrounded and trapped by 3 players, with Ho included among them. At that moment, Hyung realizes that going against Ho doesn't feel like facing just one opponent at all, as it feels more like he is fighting against several people at the same time. Ho then activates his special ability, which is called Master of Puppets. Earlier, Hyung had explained to everyone that Ho has amazing observational skills, and on top of that, he has a natural gift for controlling and directing people. He also explains that Ho notices even the smallest details about people and then uses them to bring out the best performance of whoever is on his side. Back in the present, Ji-han thinks that Ho has precision in every single move he makes. Ho then orders all the players to get into their positions, but Hyung challenges him and asks if he really thinks he can beat him like this. He even calls Ho a coward for not fighting on his own. Just then, one of Hyung's teammates shows up and starts getting the attention of the players, which gives Hyung a good chance to do something. He runs forward as fast as he can, but then Ho shows up right in front of him once again to block his way. Ho tries to take the ball away from Hyung, but he cannot do it, so he quickly pushes Hyung really hard and makes him fall down onto the ground. After this happens, Gwangjin's team gets a free kick because of the foul, and everyone on the team tells Si-jun to get himself ready to take the shot. Si-jun kicks the ball with a lot of power, and it flies through the air straight into the goal net where it lands. However, the referee waves his hand in the air and tells everyone that it does not count as a goal. Earlier, everyone started making fun of Si-jun and throwing trash talk at him, but Si-jun just ignores them and goes on to shoot the ball. One of the guys on Si-jun's team doesn't like how they are talking, so he pushes one of the players down to the ground, and the referee sees it right away. Now in the present, everyone is arguing loudly with each other until Hyung shows up, and he grabs the guy by the collar, saying that because of what he did the team lost a goal, and the chance that all of them worked so hard for is now gone just because he cannot keep control of his own emotions. Everyone tries to calm both of them down, saying that it is not really the person's fault, but the angry guy still moves in like he is about to punch Hyung. Just then, Taejun quickly steps in and tells them to go back to the field quietly. Meanwhile, the coach is thinking that their best plan right now is to use Namju as bait to draw out Ji-hyun. But the man standing next to him believes that things might work out even better if he switches Namju with Ji-hyun instead. After that, Ho gets control of the ball again, and he feels excited because he sees that Gwangji's teamwork is turning into a complete mess. He passes the ball over to his teammate, who is locked in a struggle with Si-jun as Si-jun tries hard to steal it away, but Ho's teammate quickly jumps up and heads the ball, sending it over to another player. That player then passes the ball right back to a red-haired teammate, who dashes forward and runs past every single member of Gwangji with fast steps before charging straight toward the goal. After that, the red-haired guy kicks the ball strongly and luckily it slips into the goal net, giving Songnam a score and putting one more goal on the board for their side. Suddenly, Si-jun drops to the ground as pain starts shooting through his leg. Right away, Hyung rushes over and asks what is wrong, wondering if Si-jun is dealing with a cramp in his leg. At that moment, one of the Songnam players comes over and says sorry, explaining that he had stepped on Si-jun's foot by accident earlier. Hyung and Namjoon both try to help carry Si-jun back to the bench, but Si-jun refuses, saying he will keep playing until the very end since there is not much time left in the match. After that, the game starts again, and Si-jun tells himself that he can manage short passes because the pain is slowly easing up. Out of nowhere, Ho suddenly shows up right in front of him and says that they should play together for a while. Ho tells Si-jun that he is impressed, saying that even though Si-jun only started playing not long ago, the trust his teammates have in him is something amazing. Si-jun tries to move away from him, but Ho tells him to pass the ball over. Right then, Hyung calls out to Si-jun and tells him not to listen to Ho, asking him to pass the ball to him instead. Ho quickly responds by saying that Hyung is only tricking him and that he is not really anyone's friend, and it is revealed that Ho himself used to be close friends with Hyung in the past. Meanwhile, Gwangjin's coach notices that Songnam is setting up in a diamond formation, which is a plan that depends on strong control of the center area of the field. On the other hand, Songnam's biggest fear is the connection between the second-line winger, Hyung, and first-line's Taejun. Afterward, the ball gets to Hyung, who then passes to Taejun, but Ho uses jumps in front and stops the pass. Just then, another member of Songnam quickly gets the ball and he shoots immediately and scores a goal. Afterward, the coach asks the boys what they think the flow is going on with them, but Namju says that they need to bring Ji-hyun to finish the match. The second half begins and Namju wonders if the coach is planning to bring in Ji-hyun, even though it's clear that he himself is more useful right now. Earlier, the coach asked Ji-hyun if he really thought he was in a position where he could just play whenever he felt like it. Hearing that, one of the others thought the coach was talking nonsense. The coach also told Ji-hyun that pity and excuses are useless on the field, so he didn't let him play. Back in the present, Namju reminds himself not to doubt the coach's judgment and decides he has to prove he is worthy. Meanwhile, Hyung gets blocked by the opposing players and his teammates start arguing with each other, which makes Hyung angry. Ji-hong thinks that if the defensive line is pushed too far forward, it will be hard to stop the rush of the two infiltration specialists. After that, the captain of Songnam takes the ball and tries to run, but Namju shows up in front of him. Earlier, the coach told Namju to keep chasing the Songnam captain and mark him tightly until the very end. But the captain suddenly sprints past Namju with speed and sends the ball over to Ho, yet out of nowhere, Si-jun jumps in and takes the ball away from him. Si-jun tries to pass it to another teammate, but the pass is weak, and the opposing captain quickly grabs it back. In that moment, Si-jun realizes that because of the pain in his leg, he will not be able to make any more good passes for the rest of the game. After that, Ji-hong throws the ball to Si-jun, but the coach thinks to himself that Si-jun already loses his balance, even if it is not a big injury. Si-jun still runs fast with the ball, but Hyung tells him to pass it to him. Si-jun does not listen because he thinks Taejun is much safer to give the ball to. He then passes the ball toward Taejun, but Ho quickly jumps up and blocks it with his body. The ball goes out of the field, and the blonde guy gets upset at Ho for messing it up. After that, Hyung tells Si-jun to move back and cover for him since he cannot pass well because of his leg. Then, Hyung gets a free kick and he shoots it toward Minkyu, who jumps high and hits the ball hard with his head. The ball then reaches the opposite team's goalkeeper, and he quickly kicks it hard toward Hyun. But the ball goes even farther away from where Hyun stands, so everyone starts running after it. Ji-hong and Hyung both rush after Hyun, but he soon notices that Ji-hong's running speed is almost the same as all the pro players. Hyun changes his path and tells Ji-hong that this feels just like the old days they experienced before. Suddenly, Si-jun shows up to support Ji-hong, and Ji-hong asks him if he is ready for their planned move. Earlier, Ji-hong had explained to him that when a defender is facing an attacker one-on-one, the main goal is not to take the ball away but to hold him back and gain more time. They both then agreed to last for 10 seconds until the rest of their teammates arrived to help. Earlier, Si-jun had asked Ji-hong what would happen if a slow player like him had to face a fast striker like Hyung. Ji-hong told him not to act in a hurry and just focus on buying some time. Now in the present, Si-jun starts to feel that something is strange, because Ji-hong, who always stressed the need to stay calm, is suddenly acting way too aggressive. At the same time, the coach thinks to himself that in a quick counterattack like this, it is hard to guess who will reach the ball first. He also thinks that right now Hyung is being double-marked, but since Si-jun is not really a player who is skilled in defense, they must avoid turning this into a 2-on-2 fight that includes him. Meanwhile, Si-jun keeps his eyes fixed on Hyung, but Ji-hong tells him not to do that. Earlier, Ji-hong explained to him about the importance of keeping distance between himself and the strikers. He told him not to stay too close to a striker, because if he does, it becomes easier for the striker to break through and harder for him to react in time. In the end, Ji-hong also told Si-jun to pay attention not only to the flow of the whole game but also to the small movements of each player on the field. This way, even if the opponent is faster than him, as long as he can guess the next direction ahead of time, he can block the move without needing to follow him only with his eyes. Back in the present, the blonde player reaches the scene, and Ji-hong realizes that if they waste more time, they will get into trouble, so he tries to steal the ball, but Hyung dodges past him and keeps running. Right away, Si-jun kicks at Hyung's leg, and Hyung shouts out loud that it does not even count as a back tackle. However, the referee does not stop the game because Hyung does not fall down and keeps moving toward the goalkeeper. Both Hyung and the goalkeeper strike the ball at the same time, but it just flies up toward the goal, and everyone believes this is the end. Out of nowhere, Ji-hong rushes in and blocks the shot right in front of the goal. The ball bounces away and goes to Ho, who quickly shoots it back toward the goalkeeper, but the goalkeeper stretches out and tries to block it again. At that very moment, the blonde player jumps in and strikes the ball with his head, sending it straight into the net. Now the score shows Gwangjin still has 0, while Songnam has 2. At that moment, every player on Gwangjin starts to think inside their hearts that they are going to lose this match. They also believe this is the reason why Ji-hyun should have come out much earlier in the game. 20 minutes later in the second half, Si-jun apologizes to everyone for playing like a total beginner, while Ji-hong thinks to himself that even with such a weak body, Si-jun still played better than most of the others. After that, Bong-soo receives the ball and makes a really bad pass, which causes someone to start complaining right away. Bong-soo then thinks that the guy complaining is just standing there doing nothing but still blaming him. The player with the Jackie Chan hairstyle asks the coach if they should change the flow of the game a little, but the coach replies that he can already hear their hearts pounding from where he is and tells them to hold on for 5 more minutes. Soon after, Si-jun and Ji-hong manage to trap the blonde player the same way they had done earlier with Hyung. Ji-hong tells Si-jun to leave this player to him, since the blonde guy only knows how to kick the ball and run straight ahead. Suddenly, the blonde player does exactly that and kicks the ball forward before sprinting, but this time Ji-hong quickly catches up to him. Seeing this, their coach thinks to himself that Ji-hong must have already used up so much stamina that his speed is starting to drop. Meanwhile, Gwangjin's coach remembers a story from the past about a famous team that had once conquered all of Europe. On that team, there were 2 star players named H and W. One day, they had a showdown to settle their teammates' long-standing curiosity, and it was a 50-meter race for pride. They ran 3 times, and W won every single one, but then H suggested they should do a 100-meter race instead. In that longer race, H won by a huge margin. Back in the present match, Ji-hong rushes forward, quickly overtakes the blonde player, and gets ahead of him to take the ball. Ji-hong quickly passes the ball over to another teammate, but Ho suddenly appears out of nowhere and kicks it instead, while thinking to himself how surprising it is that the blonde player named Gyu was actually overpowered. Right after that, Namjoon's movements also speed up sharply, leaving everyone else in shock. Now, 25 minutes into the second half that had been completely controlled by Songnam, the game is suddenly facing an unexpected counterattack from Gwangjin. Hyung receives the ball quickly, but instead of passing it to others, he charges forward on his own and runs past every single player standing in his way. Soon after, another opponent slides in hard to stop Hyung, but he leaps up with the ball and sends it straight into the goal to score. Meanwhile, in Liverpool, England, the coach is sitting in his office when I show speed walks in carrying some old materials that the coach had been searching for. The coach then asks him if it would be possible to add the Asian territories to their itinerary. After that, Hyung gets the ball again and people believe that he can read his opponent in just a short time before easily tricking him with the simplest techniques. He is even able to read his opponent's moves exactly right while hiding and erasing his own habits. Hyung's biggest special skill is his mind reading, and one of the Songnam players asks Ho if there is any way to stop Hyung since he has played with him before. Ho replies that even though he knows Hyung very well, he still feels helpless against his lack of clear tendencies. Ho also explains that Hyung is the kind of player who has many ups and downs in his matches, but when his condition is at its very peak, there is no one who can stand in his way. Moreover, his weakness is that he tries to wear down his opponent's stamina as quickly as possible. After that, Hyung pulls off a Marseille turn, a move that is said to show up at least once in every soccer cartoon. Just then, two players rush toward Hyung to block him, but he simply lifts the ball into the air and moves past them with ease. Watching this, Gwangjin's coach wonders how Hyung still has so much stamina left and thinks that they must win before his energy finally runs out. Soon after, Ho steps in front of Hyung and activates his own special ability called Maestro. After that, more players arrive and surround Hyung, who thinks that if this were any normal day, he would have dozens of ways to break through them easily. But he also knows that if he wastes too much stamina here, he won't be able to get it back before the match ends. Taejun, watching him, thinks that no matter how much Hyung tries to hide it, everyone can see that he is slowly reaching his physical limit. Meanwhile, the players on the other team think that even if Hyung gets through their setup, it will still work out because it will use up his energy just by making him waste time trying to get past them. All of a sudden, Hyung stops moving for a few seconds and starts talking trash to Ho's teammates, saying mean things to get them angry. Right at that moment when he is talking, one of the players moves from where they were standing, and Hyung sees the open space that appears. He quickly runs through that empty spot as fast as he can while all the other players hurry to chase after him and try to catch up. They even try to hit Hyung, but he just moves the ball around like it's no big deal. When Ho tries to steal the ball from him, Hyung just moves it away using his tapping move that he knows really well. Soon after that happens, another player comes right in front of Hyung to stop him from getting closer to the goal area, and the coach starts thinking that whatever happens in today's game is going to depend on this exact moment right now. After this tense moment, Hyung kicks the ball really fast toward the goal, and when the ball gets to the goal area, the goalkeeper tries to catch it, but then Hyung sees that Namjoon is in a good spot, so he passes the ball to him instead. Afterward, Namjoon is about to shoot the ball toward the goal area, but Ho yells out to Hyunsu to make a wall right in front of Namjoon so they can block his shot from going through. However, Namjoon quickly steps back and passes the ball over to Taejun, who he had been watching carefully and keeping in his sight from the beginning until the very end of the entire play. Taejun then kicks the ball with a huge amount of force and power behind it that it flies straight toward Ho's face and hits him right in the head really hard, and after the ball smacks him, the ball bounces straight up into the air high above everyone on the field. Hyung quickly jumps up as high as he can and kicks the ball straight into the goal while it is still floating in the air above them. Now both teams have the same number of goals and everyone on Hyung's team starts celebrating really loudly and excitedly because even the coach thinks that Hyung has done something way better than his normal ability and pushed himself further than usual. Afterward, everyone starts dancing around on the field because they want to make fun of the other team as much as they possibly can and show them up. Sejun and the other player tell Hyung that he should get some rest now because they have a 5-minute break before the game continues again. Afterward, the story shows us a flashback about Taejun's past life and background, explaining how he always had to deal with tough situations from when he was very young, while he tried to ignore all the fun activities and good times that his regular friends his age was having and enjoying. However, for him that hardest thing to endure during the soccer team era was getting beaten every day by the coach. Despite those hard times, Namjoon was always with him, but one day, Namjoon got badly beaten by some people as he loved playing soccer. However, Jiseok took a stand for him and asked them if they thought this was funny. Afterward, Jiseok and those other guys get into a big fight and Taejun feels really bad about not helping Jiseok when he needed it instead of just standing there and watching everything happen. Just as Taejun tries to go and help his friend, a second-year student named Sung-ji stops him and tells him and all the others to stand still and just watch what is happening. He also tells them that the results of their soccer matches have been pretty good so far, but if they start acting up right now and make the problem even worse, they will all be in serious trouble. After getting beaten up really badly by the older students, Jiseok decided that he wanted to leave Gwangjin School completely. However, starting from that day forward, the third-year students never bothered or touched Namjoon ever again. Moreover, Namjoon never gave up on his dreams and started running by himself silently every single day, even though no one was there watching him practice, but despite all his hard work, Namjoon was never chosen to play in any games. Even when everyone at school kept ignoring him and treating him like he did not matter, he just kept running by himself day after day without stopping or giving up on his goal. When it was time for washing the soccer uniforms, Taejun always used to wash Namjoon's uniform for him to help him out. Back in the present time during the game, Namjoon runs across the field like a leopard that is hunting for food, and with a crazy amount of speed that surprises everyone. He steals the ball away from the opposite team's player by doing a sliding move on the ground. When everyone sees how fast Namjoon is moving across the field, they all get really shocked and surprised about how much speed he has, and then Namjoon turns on his special ability called the Two Heart skill that makes him even stronger. Earlier before the game started, Namjoon asks the coach why he decided to choose him as one of the starting players for today's match, but the coach wonders if Namjoon is not really a Gwangjin player and asks if there is any specific reason why he should not choose him to play. However, Namjoon tells him back that he did not know if he was actually important enough for this match and if the team really needed him. The coach explains to him that this match is not some kind of once-in-a-lifetime chance that will change his future as a soccer player forever, but as the team's coach he really wants to see what kind of role Namjoon can play and how he can help the team during the game. Back in the present, Namjoon, Taejun and the other guy runs towards the goal together while Hao and his teammates prepare for the line. Seeing everything that is happening on the field, the coach thinks to himself that Namjoon has the most selfless way of playing soccer compared to anyone else who plays for Gwangjin School. The coach keeps thinking about how Namjoon is the most underrated and overlooked member of the entire Gwangjin team, and every once in a while, there are certain players who fight and play with such honest hearts that they end up looking like fools to other people. Afterward, Namjoon kicks the ball toward the goal and it flies straight toward the goalkeeper who manages to catch it before it goes in. Afterward, the final stage of the match begins to start and the ball gets passed over to Taejun whose energy and stamina is at the very edge of its limit and he is getting really tired. In the end, Taejun cannot get control of the ball so Namjoon saves it from falling off the ground, and the ball gets to Hyung who then shoots the ball toward the goal but it hits the metal pole and still lands right on the goal line. 2 years ago, everyone at the school started wondering and asking each other how someone like Namjoon could have possibly gotten accepted into Gwangjin School in the first place when he seemed so different from everyone else. However, Young-hoon tried to take a stand for him and defend him against all the other students who were being mean, and later he asks Namjoon why he did not fight back or defend himself against someone who was talking complete nonsense and saying stupid things about him. Young-hoon then asks Namjoon what he thinks it takes to be a really good soccer player who can succeed, but Namjoon tells him back that it means someone is good at doing all the basic soccer skills like dribbling the ball around opponents, passing it to teammates at the right time, and shooting it toward the goal with accuracy. However, Young-hoon explains to him that no matter how good and skilled a player actually is at soccer, the total amount of time they spend holding and controlling the ball during an entire game will only be a few minutes at most during the whole match. So, the ability to do the very best to fulfill whatever role a person has on the pitch and having that kind of strong mentality and mindset is what makes someone the best soccer player they can possibly be in the sport. One day, Young-hoon had a really serious injury that hurt him very badly and he had to leave soccer completely and never play again, which left a deep trauma and emotional scar on Namjoon that affected him for a very long time after that happened. So, he never gave up on his dreams of becoming great and trained every single day by himself to become the best player he could possibly be with his own hard work. Back in the present time during the game that is happening now, the goalkeeper hits the ball with his hands and it flies back toward Namjoon who scores a goal by hitting it with his head while it is still floating in the air above him. Afterward, everyone starts praising Namjoon for his amazing and incredible performance that he showed during the game earlier. At the end of the second half of the match, Songnam could not get over the shock and surprise of Gwangjin's comeback goal that tied the game and they ended up being defeated completely. After the match finishes, Hyung asks Ho what he did that was wrong and asks him why he is betraying him and going against their friendship. Earlier before this happened, Ho told his soccer team in England that he wants to go back to Korea to play there, but one guy on his team told him that sacrificing everything he has worked for just for Hyung is not going to be worth it in the end. Afterward, Ho happily packs all his stuff and belongings and took the flight back to Korea, thinking in his mind that he is going to surprise Hyung with his visit. After arriving at the airport, he calls Hyung, who is actually sleeping in his bed at the time, and he tells him that he wants to be in the club too and play with him, but Hyung straight up told him not to waste his time doing that and to go train somewhere else because he already has his secret weapon on the team. Hearing that, Ho started crying really hard and thinks to himself that he has been deceived and tricked by someone he trusted again. Back in the present, Hyung apologizes to Ho for all his mistakes and the wrong things he did, and both of them start laughing together like old friends again. Meanwhile, Jiseok falls down on the ground because he is feeling a lot of pain in his body, but Taejun tries to help him out and make him feel better. So, Gyu appears out of nowhere without anyone expecting him and pushes Taejun aside roughly, but Jiseok tells Taejun that he does not have to feel guilty or bad about what happened between them in the past. The next day after everything that happened, Hyung and Sejun arrive at the airport to drop off Ho and say goodbye to him before he leaves. Afterward, Ho calls his soccer team back in England, but they tell him that they terminated his contract and fired him because he wanted to play with the same team as Hyung instead of staying with them. The next day at school, Sejun is daydreaming again in the middle of his class while the teacher is talking, so his teacher decides to give him a really hard math problem to solve as punishment. However, he solves it even faster than he did before and surprises everyone in the classroom. After the class ends and students start leaving, Ara comes over to him and congratulates him for winning the first round of the soccer league tournament. Hearing that, Sejun starts blushing, and when she tells him that she will come watch another match of his in the future, he completely loses his mind and gets very excited. Just then, Hyung arrives at their classroom and asks Ara to get lost and leave them alone because he and Sejun are quite busy at the moment. Meanwhile, the soccer coach tells his assistant coach that after the match they played against Songnam team, all the other teams in the league will begin carrying out checks on Gwangjin team. Later, the coach gets to the practice ground where Ho is already there waiting to join the team and start playing with them. The coach tells him to introduce himself to everyone on the team, and Ho just says a long list of things he likes and dislikes and tells them what position he played in his previous team without being friendly. Feeling frustrated by his boring introduction, the coach tells him to get back to whatever he was doing before and not waste any more time. Afterward, everyone on the team realizes that if it was not for Namjoon and his amazing performance, they definitely would have lost the match against their opponents. Taesik then comes over to Namjoon and apologizes to him for getting angry and upset earlier when things were not going well. Suddenly, everyone on the team notices that Minwo got a completely new haircut that looks different, and he is acting really strange and weird compared to how he usually behaves. The team then notices and finds out that Junho from Hanyang School scored 5 goals in one match all by himself without any help from his teammates. So, the red-head guy on their team explains to everyone that Hanyang is a very prestigious and expensive school that is said to be the best soccer school in the entire country. Afterward, the story shows us a backstory about Hyung's past life back in Liverpool, England, when one day while he was walking down the street with his family members, some strangers who they did not know stopped them, and instead of trying to steal their stuff or hurt them, they turned out to be big fans of his father. The next day, Hyung was walking down the street by himself when a random guy asked him to grab some stuff, but then the guy got really shocked after he realizes that Hyung is the son of the famous player called Gun, and then he begins asking Hyung if he can get his father's autograph for him. It turns out that Hyung's father was a really famous Liverpool soccer player who everyone knew about and got excited as he performed even the simplest actions on the field. Ever since those experiences happened to him, Hyung wanted to become the best soccer player just like his father was when he played. Later, Hyung and his younger brother begged and asked their father to play soccer with them in the yard despite him being really tired from his long day at work. However, Hyung's dad finally accepted their request and agreed to play with them outside for a little while. However, he instantly ran past both of them like a flash of lightning and told the kids that he will not go easy on them just because they are his sons and much younger. Hyung wondered to himself that maybe his dad was not interested in letting him play soccer professionally. Or maybe it was because his father knew the difficult and rugged weight of the hard road called soccer better than anyone else in the world. However, Hyung really did want to be the best soccer player he could be and become just like his father was when he played for Liverpool. Afterward, Hyung grows up and becomes even more strong and better than before, and he finally joins Liverpool in England together with Ho. Everyone in the team thinks that Hyung is improving really well, and they also believe that if he keeps going at this speed, the board of directors might want to give him a new contract. One of the players in his team, a guy named Oliver, plays very bad in one match even when he knows that if he plays bad, he will be replaced by another player. After the match, the coach scolds him and tells him that his job is to keep his position, believe in his teammates with the ball, and just wait for the pass. Other players call Oliver stupid because he does not realize how much the coach hates it when someone does not follow his orders. Later that evening, Hyung and Ho walk by and tell him that he should listen to the coach, but Oliver answers that if Hyung did the same thing, nobody would say it is wrong since he is Gun's son. Slowly, the rest of the teammates start saying the same thing, claiming that Hyung only got everything because of his father, and Hyung begins to think that if he had played during the same time as his father, he would have been even stronger. The next day, Hyung plays another match on the field while the rain is falling, and he feels that Oliver will never understand how much he has struggled. Hyung then takes the ball and scores a goal to show everyone just how strong he really is, but Hyung still thinks that in the end it doesn't matter how good he plays. Afterward, Hyung goes to the soccer coach and asks him why he did not stop the bullying from happening to him, but the coach replies that he thought Hyung was smarter than the average player and could handle it himself. The coach tells him even more by explaining that as long as he remains playing in Liverpool, this kind of treatment is nothing more than a trivial incident that he will have to face countless times in the future as a foreign player. The next day, Hyung told his father that he is going to quit soccer completely and give up on his dreams, but his father says he respects his choice to run away from his problems, even after he has come this far in his soccer career. Afterward, Hyung packed all his stuff and belongings and headed for Korea along with his uncle who was going to take care of him there. Back in the present time, this is the entire story that Ho is telling Woo Jin and Bong-soo about Hyung's past life and why he came to Korea in the first place. Woo Jin thinks that Hyung is really pathetic for running away just because he got angry over a small misunderstanding. But Ho says that Hyung has some of the greatest raw talent, even when compared to the top elite players, and it is also true that his father gave him a bit of influence since he was a legend in Liverpool. At the same time, Si-jun feels that no matter what happened, Hyung always admired his father and truly wanted to compete starting from the same point as everyone else. He thinks that instead of always chasing after the shadow of his father, he now looks forward to making his own path and proving himself in his own way. Meanwhile, Hyung is training hard on the field together with another teammate, and the guy suddenly asks him what kind of thoughts he has been so deeply lost in these days. At the same time, the Liverpool team that Hyung belongs to finally arrives in Korea. The next day, Si-jun receives a note from his writing teacher that tells him his writing skills are getting much better than they were before. Just then, Ara appears out of nowhere and asks him why he looks so happy and excited today compared to other days. However, Si-jun gets stunned and surprised by her sudden appearance and asks what she is doing at this time of the day when she is usually somewhere else, so Ara tells him that she wants to do some exercise and stay healthy from now on and asks if he is going the same way, so they can walk together down the street. Afterward, they both start walking together side by side and Si-jun thinks to himself that he looks like a complete idiot in front of her and wishes that he could be more comfortable and confident like Hyung always is with people. Suddenly, Ara's best friend DOA appears in front of them and quickly runs over to hug her friend tightly. DOA asks Ara if she knows where Hyung is right now because he changed his contact information and she cannot reach him anymore. However, Ara mentions that Hyung never really gets in touch with her first, but she is still able to contact him whenever she wants. Meanwhile, the Liverpool team is on their way somewhere, and the bald guy talks to the coach and tells him that he has to change the plan to a location that is closer to the airport. The coach then explains that in Asia people say many world-class players are born, and the opponent they will face in this friendly match is known as a very prestigious team, the same team that once produced the Great Gun. At the same time, the Gwangjin team hears the news that they are going to play a friendly match against the FC Liverpool youth team, which makes them both nervous and excited. Afterward, the coach of Liverpool arrives to meet with Gwangjin members, but everyone wonders what this old grandpa is doing here all of a sudden. Just then, Ho tells them to keep quiet because he is actually his coach, which shocks everyone. The coach then completely ignores Ho and walks up to Si-jun and asks if he is started with that ugly physique of his. The coach then asks Gwangjin's coach what he thinks, as it's very different from the reputation he has, as he looks younger than in the report. The coach then speaks in English with Gwangjin's coach, who tells him that the truth is they were surprised by the unexpected and if he doesn't convince him, they can cancel it even now. The Liverpool coach thinks that he is as immature as he seems and asks if he thinks he can ignore the association's decision. Just then, Hyung arrives and asks the Liverpool coach why did he came here all of a sudden, but the coach asks him if he gives up everything he had just to end up here. Later, Hyung and the coach of Gwangjin sit together in the office and Hyung asks him if he knows anything about his father from when he played soccer. The coach replies that Hyung's father did not always have the recognition and respect of the people around him, and when he was a rookie player here in Korea, he was just the understudy and backup player for the team's main ace player. He also tells Hyung that they both used to play on the same soccer team together many years ago, and the important goal that Hyung's dad scored in the national tournament was what allowed their entire team to win the championship. The coach also tells Hyung very clearly that he will not treat him, especially just because of who his father is. He will also make him strong and tough so that he can overcome and be better than his disgusting father who left Korea behind. Meanwhile, Ho tells the other players the most important thing they need to know about the Liverpool team, saying they must understand something really crucial about their opponents. He adds that they all should be afraid of one specific guy who is their main defender named Tyrone, and he has an immense and huge physique that makes him very scary to face. He has everything that a good defender really needs to be successful, and he often faces Hyung during their practice sessions when they train together. Another one that they need to worry about is the captain of Liverpool's center midfield position, James, who is so talented and skilled that the major league teams now want him to join their clubs. Finally, there is also a team sprinter named Chiaki who runs really fast and is exactly like Hyung in the way he plays soccer. Lastly, there is also a striker player known as William who is not just a regular footballer, but he is an absolute monster who can destroy any team. Meanwhile, Hyung and Sejun are talking together about Sejun's story that he wrote for his writing class, and Hyung plans on changing some parts and orders of it to make it sound better. Sejun then tells Hyung that he is actually really awesome at many different things and tells Hyung that he has liked doing math and accounts since he was a little kid, but he always has doubts about whether he can do something right and correctly. So, he thinks that Hyung never has any doubts about himself and always has confidence and believes in himself whenever he plays soccer on the field. Just then, while they are having their conversation, Hyung's sister arrives at the place where they are sitting and smacks him hard on the head without any warning. On the other hand, Team Gwangjin and Team Liverpool run into each other on the street while both teams are thinking that they want Hyung to play with them no matter what it takes to get him. However, one of the Liverpool guys then tells Ho that he is completely wasting his time and talent in a weak team like Gwangjin when he could be playing somewhere better. Everyone on Gwangjin starts thinking that this Liverpool player is really massive and huge, so he must be the famous Williams that they heard about, but Ho tells them that he is not Williams at all, and then the Real Williams appears and stands right in front of Taejun with anger and rage in his eyes. William then starts asking several different questions to Taejun in an aggressive way, but Ho yells at him loudly asking why he brought the entire Liverpool team with him when Ho specifically told him to come alone to this meeting. Afterward, Chiaki asks Ho if he brought Hyung with him to this meeting so they could talk, but then Woojin tells Chiaki that if he wants to meet Hyung and talk to him he has to go somewhere else because Hyung is not here with them right now. Just then, James steps forward and tells William to translate into Korean what he is about to say to the Gwangjin team members. James says that they are not here to play halfway or take it easy on them, even if this is supposed to be a friendly match between the two teams. So, the Gwangjin team should not prepare in a mediocre or lazy way because Liverpool will give their best effort. On the other hand, Sejun and Hyung are having food and eating together with Hyung's sister and Ara. However, Hyung and his sister start arguing with each other about something stupid, so Ara tells Sejun that they have always behaved like this and fought with each other since they were little kids growing up. Just then, Ho arrives at the place where they are eating, and Hyung and his sister immediately start annoying him and bothering him as well with their silly behavior. On the other hand, the entire Gwangjin team starts training really hard and practicing for their upcoming important match against the Liverpool team. Finally, it is the day of the important match and the team Gwangjin gathers together on the soccer grounds to get ready for their game. While walking toward the field, Williams accidentally runs into Sejun, who gets hit by his big body and falls down on the ground. So Williams helps him stand back up on his feet, but Sejun is still shocked and surprised because it is the first time that he has ever seen someone who is so big and tall in person. Afterward, everyone from both teams greets each other in a friendly way before the match starts, but the Liverpool's coach makes an irresistible offer that sounds really good to Gwangjin's coach, saying that if his Liverpool team wins today's match, he will help the Gwangjin coach so that he can do the official trainer course under him and learn from his experience. Earlier before the match day, Ara told Sejun that DOA and she both wanted to watch their upcoming friendly match against the Liverpool team, so Sejun made it possible for them to come to the field and watch the game. On the other hand, William starts crying because he feels that Ho had the courage to give up everything just for the sake of a friend, and he is touched by the limitless friendship that exists between him and Hyung. Afterward, the Liverpool coach tells his team that today he wants Gwangjin to be completely destroyed and fully humiliated. Then the coach's assistant asks him if it is really necessary to use the most important players for this match, but the coach replies that he has been a coach for many years. He says that the most gifted players who are now dominating the league have all passed through his training, and when compared to them, Hyung is nothing at all. Meanwhile, James comes face to face with Hyung on the field, saying it is a pity for them to meet each other here in this situation instead of playing together. Chiaki on the other hand asks Hyung if he knows how many people on their Liverpool team are going to suffer and be hurt because of his decision to leave them. However, James tells Hyung to come back to Liverpool and forget about his pride and ego because all of them are waiting for him to return to the team. Hyung says that James is always talking like his opinion and thoughts were the same as the entire group's feelings. Hyung asks him if he is really sure that everyone else on the Liverpool team thinks the same way that James does about the situation. Afterward, the match begins with Liverpool getting control of the ball first and Gwangjin's coach wonders if they should all go out to press and attack without testing their opponents first. Afterward, the ball gets passed over to Williams who is ready to make a play, but Ho appears out of nowhere and steals the ball away from him with a quick move. Ho then quickly runs away from Williams to escape and passes the ball to Si-jun, but suddenly Chiaki and another team member surround Si-jun completely and Chiaki manages to steal the ball from him. Meanwhile, DOA explains that they are pressing against Si-jun together so that he cannot take control of the ball. But she also says that they cannot keep playing like this for the whole game because their bodies will get tired and face wear and tear. After that, James takes the ball and quickly passes it over to Williams, but Ji-hong suddenly rushes in at full speed and steals it away from him. Right after that, Williams also runs in at full speed and manages to steal the ball back from Ji-hong. However, when he hits the ball forward, both Woo-jin and Minkyu try to grab it at the same time, and they end up crashing into each other and falling down hard on the ground. Afterward, Chiaki quickly kicks the ball straight toward the goal net, but Ji-hong suddenly shows up in front of it and gets hit instead. The ball then bounces back into the field, and James takes a direct shot, but it strikes Si-jun's arm and deflects away, so Woo-jin rushes forward and grabs it. The referee then shows a warning card to Si-jun, and Hyung explains that there is a white line drawn on the ground around the goal net, and the space inside that line is called the penalty area. He adds that a penalty kick is given to the opponent if a defender commits a foul inside that area, and in this case, the referee decides that it was a handball inside the penalty area. Because of that, the Liverpool team is awarded a penalty kick, and Chiaki steps up to take the shot, but Woo-jin dives quickly and blocks it with perfect timing. Meanwhile, the Gwangjin coach's assistant asks him if Liverpool is giving them a harder time than they first expected, but the coach replies that it is actually better this way since it is not easy to gain so much experience in just one practice match. On the other side, Ho notices that Bong-soo often loses focus at very important moments, while Minkyu is way too passive to be a solid central defender. However, Taesik, who is another defender, is much more aggressive and reacts quickly to any kind of movement or stimulus. After that, the Liverpool team gets a free kick, and the kicker sends the ball toward Chiaki, who immediately turns his direction and makes a run forward. But Si-jun shows up in front of him to block, so Chiaki quickly passes to James and James takes the shot, but Ho quickly kicks the ball. However, as the ball bounces, Woo-jin quickly strikes it and it flies straight toward Si-jun. Right then, James kicks the ball and passes it to Williams, who takes a direct shot, but the ball only hits the goal line and then shoots straight up into the sky. Watching that miss, the coach's assistant starts to feel nervous, but the coach calmly tells him that the team is actually playing very well. He also adds that they already knew they were going to be weaker than Liverpool, yet 10 full minutes have already passed and the score is still 0-0. On the other hand, the Liverpool coach thinks that the match has gone beyond his expectations, because unlike the beginning, it has now become very intense, but deep inside he is certain that Gwangjin cannot last much longer and his team will eventually score the winning goal. Meanwhile, DOA thinks that Liverpool's strategy is like a double-edged sword, because it is an unusual pressure tactic that uses up a huge amount of energy. She also believes that in order to survive against them, they must take advantage whenever the tactics shift and look for openings to break through. After that, the ball rolls forward and Ho, Tony, and Bong-soo all strike it together, sending it ahead, and Williams sprints to catch it. But Tae-jun pushes him aside strongly and takes the ball away. Right after, the two of them keep crashing into each other and chase after the ball again, which makes Tae-jun start to wonder just how much power Williams really has. A moment later, the ball somehow bounces over toward James, but Nam-jun suddenly shows up out of nowhere and kicks it away before he can act. Afterward, Nam-jun quickly passes the ball over to Si-jun, and Si-jun thinks to himself that this might be the only chance he has to score a goal. Just when he is about to take the shot, Chiaki suddenly shows up and kicks the ball away instead. The ball then lands with Williams, who quickly spins around and tries to run forward, but Ho steps in, steals the ball from him, and tells Si-jun to stay focused since he is the setter of the team. Watching this, the coach says to his assistant that he should not expect too much from Si-jun right now because he is still only taking his first steps, and their rival happens to be an international team with far more experience. At the same time, James begins to wonder why the team keeps trying to pass the ball to Si-jun, almost as if there is something truly special about him. However, another Liverpool player named Tyron asks Hyung to give some help to his own team, because he finds it funny watching them struggle like this on the field. Meanwhile, DOA explains that the reason Si-jun often gets the ball is because of the way he receives it, how he defends, and also because he still lacks a lot of skill, making it clear that he is not yet an expert. After that, Si-jun starts running forward with the ball while James chases right behind him, and when Jong-hwan thinks of moving in to help, Hyung signals him not to interfere. Then Si-jun makes the choice to pass the ball toward Hyung, but since he cannot fully concentrate, he just shuts his eyes and kicks it. The ball moves toward the Liverpool players, but Hyung steps in, manages to trick it back and takes a shot before the goalkeeper can react. Yet a Liverpool defender rushes in and blocks it. Afterward, James realizes that the pass that Si-jun made was not dangerous or threatening by itself, but the way he was moving and positioning himself earlier on the field was really unusual and different from normal players. Hyung, on the other hand, tells Si-jun that he has come up with a great plan that might work against Liverpool, so he tells Si-jun to go and tell Nam-jun exactly what he is about to explain to him without changing anything. The ball then gets passed over to Jong-hwan, who is ready to make a move, but he soon gets blocked by a bunch of Liverpool players who surround him, so he shoots the ball a little bit ahead of where he is standing and runs at fast speed to get control of it again. However, Tyron from the Liverpool team appears right in front of him and asks how he knows such cheap tricks that are supposed to fool experienced players like them. Jong-hwan and Tyron both attack and go for the ball at exactly the same time with full force, and the Gwangjin's coach realizes that their recent attack did not affect the Liverpool players one bit because it seems like the time and environment they are playing in does nothing to make them nervous or uncomfortable. On the other hand, James keeps telling Hyung that what he is doing will not change anything because Liverpool players have better individual skills, stronger bodies, and a much more organized system. After that, Hyung runs forward with the ball, but another Liverpool player purposely bumps into him hard and makes him fall to the ground. Right away, the referee calls a free kick, and Hyung quickly sends the ball to Ho. Ho then passes it back to Hyung as he moves up the field again, and from there the ball gets passed along until it reaches Nam-jun. Seeing that Si-jun is right behind him, he quickly passes the ball to Si-jun, who then scores a goal. Afterward, Hyung tells Si-jun that he did a really great job but explains that everything was actually part of his planning. Then Hyung invites Ho to come and celebrate with them, but Ho tells them to go ahead and do it without him. Still, Ho wonders to himself that Liverpool's coach must be really angry right now, while Tyron, on the other hand, thinks that the free kick surprised him and that he got distracted by the passing between Ho and Hyung. At the same time, Nam-jun says that Si-jun's shots are amazing, and if his shot had not been that good, the ball would never have gone in. Just then, a man from the Liverpool team walks over to Gwangjin's coach and tells him that their players need a short hydration break. The coach agrees to give it to them, but he also says that in return Gwangjin will take the same chance for hydration as well. Meanwhile, the Liverpool coach gathers everyone around and asks Thomas if he thinks he played well, and Thomas answers that he did. The coach then turns to Tyron and asks if Thomas really a good job followed Ho, and Tyron also says that it was correct. Hearing this, the coach becomes angry and demands again if it was truly correct or not, and when Thomas finally admits that it was not, the coach coldly tells him to pack up his things and leave the team. After that, the coach tells everyone that what Thomas did on the field was not exactly terrible, but this place is not for players who feel insecure or doubt themselves. He then looks at Oliver and orders him to get ready to take Thomas's place in the lineup. Meanwhile, Jong-hwan is feeling sad and disappointed because he missed two really good opportunities to score goals during the match, but Taejun tells him to remember that this is just a practice match and not a real competition that matters for their season. Hyung, on the other hand, is vibrating with excitement and energy because he has never felt such an amazing thrill and rush during a soccer game in a very long time. Hyung is actually laughing at Liverpool's coach, who seems completely relaxed and calm with his team even though they are losing the match right now. Just then, Ho comes over to Hyung and tells him that at first, they managed to make him so angry and frustrated that he looked really bad on the field, but now they have played so well and impressively to the point of making him feel angry and upset about losing to his former teammates. Meanwhile, Oliver tells Chiaki to go to the right side of the field, but Oliver asks him if he finds it uncomfortable and awkward to face Jong-hwan during the match since they know each other. Oliver says that these are just orders from the coach, so they have to follow them, so Chiaki asks if he has to mark and guard Jong-hwan closely from the beginning of the game. Afterward, Oliver and Hyung come face to face on the field and Hyung tells him very clearly that no matter what the Liverpool team does or says to convince him, he will never come back to Liverpool to play with them, and Oliver was expecting exactly that kind of answer from his former teammate. The match begins again with James having control of the ball, and when Taejun runs toward him to try to get it away, James passes it to another guy on his team who then shoots the ball toward William. William then runs past Bongsu and Namjoon with incredible speed. Since Williams is Brazilian, it is said that Brazilian players are the ones with the most beautiful tricks and moves, and soccer for Brazilian people is like a pure joy and happiness that they love to share. Williams then quickly tries to dodge around Ho and uses special feet techniques and footwork to run away from Ho and escape his defense. Meanwhile, Minkyu wonders to himself that the speed of Williams is like a raging bull that is charging forward with incredible power, but then Ho tells him not to be afraid of the opponent and to take care of his position in the defensive area. Just as Williams tries to hit the ball toward the goal with a powerful shot, Ho quickly slides in on the ground and steals the ball away from him with perfect timing, but then Williams pushes him down on the ground roughly in frustration. Hyung on the other hand thinks to himself that their Liverpool coach must have some kind of great psychological pressure and control over the team, because it is the main reason they are all playing together as a unified group instead of individual players. After that, Ho thinks to himself that the first half is almost over, so there is no reason to keep attacking since they are already in the lead. But Oliver believes that Gwangjin will just waste time now because that would be the smartest move. Instead of slowing the game down, Sejun quickly throws the ball straight to Hyung. Hyung takes control of it, but right away Taerun comes in front of him. Hyung smirks and asks Taerun if he wants him to humiliate him once more. Without waiting for an answer, Hyung notices an open space on the field and immediately runs into it with the ball. Afterward, Oliver catches up to Hyung and Hyung wonders to himself since when has Oliver become as fast as him in running speed. Oliver manages to stagger Hyung and make him lose his balance so that he almost falls down on the ground, but then Hyung slides on the grass and causes Oliver to fall down instead. Hyung asks Oliver if their Liverpool coach has ordered him to imitate and copy his playing style like this and asks if he actually likes being his replacement and playing exactly like that. Suddenly, Taerun arrives at the scene and grabs Hyung by his shirt collar roughly, asking if it is really necessary to sweep and slide like that during the game. Hyung then tells him back that he will definitely score the goal that he let slip away and missed in the second half of the match. Finally, the first halftime ends and everyone on his team starts scolding Hyung for his poor performance and behavior, but then Hyung's sister arrives at the field and smacks his head hard, asking if he is completely stupid and weak compared to how he used to play. She scolds the whole team for not playing the way she wanted, but when it comes to Sejun's turn, her tone changes completely and she suddenly speaks softly and acts all lovey-dovey toward him. After that, the second half of the match kicks off. Earlier, Jong-hwan had promised the coach that he would not make any mistakes this time and would play properly. Now in the present, Jong-hwan dribbles the ball forward with speed, but Chiaki steps right in front of him to block. Jong-hwan reacts quickly and passes the ball toward Ho, but before Ho can take control, a Liverpool player jumps in to steal it. At that moment, Namjoon steps in and saves the ball for his team. Watching this, the coach thinks to himself that Namjoon's weakness is how he only sticks to safe and solid plays. In contrast, he feels that Hyung has a bold, risky style, and that is why Hyung doesn't even hesitate or feel fear when facing players who have much stronger status than him. Afterward, Sejun gets a free kick opportunity and all the Liverpool players get alert and ready to defend, so Hyung tells Sejun that until right before the free throw happens, they will not have any idea of which one of them is actually going to kick the ball. He adds that the Liverpool players must be confused and uncertain because Sejun is left-handed and his kicking style is weird and unpredictable compared to other players. James tells Taerun that Sejun probably would not be able to score from that long distance away from the goal, but if Sejun does decide to kick the ball then it is going to be really bad for their team's defense. Afterward, Hyung moves and positions himself as if he is about to kick the ball toward the goal and the entire Liverpool team tries to defend against his expected shot. But then he moves aside and steps away to make room for Sejun to kick instead, but Sejun does not take the kick either. Hyung freaks out at Sejun, yelling at him and asking why he didn't just kick the ball earlier. Sejun answers calmly that he noticed something strange about the other team and thinks Hyung shouldn't snap at him like that. Right after that, Sejun finally kicks the ball with incredible speed, and it flies straight past the defenders. Taejun jumps at the right moment, hits it with his head, and the ball goes into the goal. The crowd reacts, but before the celebration can even start, the goalkeeper grabs the ball right away, and it becomes clear that Gwangjin has fallen right into Liverpool's trap. The only one who reacts fast enough is Liverpool's captain, who dashes forward with full speed toward the ball. Seeing that, Si-jun also starts running after it, and a few seconds later Ji-hong and Hyung realize what's happening and rush after him too. However, before they can catch up, Williams reaches the ball first and quickly passes it out wide to the side to keep the attack alive. Hyung feels that the sweep was unnecessary, but Ho believes it was still safer than letting Si-jun face the rivals in a 2-on-2 situation. After that, Chiaki gets control of the ball and sees Si-jun standing in front of him, so he asks if Si-jun really wants to attack him, warning that it would be the worst choice of his life. Si-jun steps in and tries to cut off Chiaki's pass, but Chiaki quickly sends the ball over to Williams. Right away, Hyung and Ji-han shout that it is offside, but Williams still fires a shot and scores a goal, making the score even for both teams. Afterward, Chiaki thinks to himself that Si-jun never intended to stop him directly but was only waiting for the ball to go past. Meanwhile, Gwangjin's coach notices that all of Si-jun's movements are based on careful and detailed calculations. Si-jun then apologizes to Woo-jin for not getting the ball, but Woo-jin snaps at him in frustration. Hyung steps in and explains to Si-jun that he does not need to say sorry for everything, because if they were in Woo-jin's place, that goal would never have gone in if Woo-jin had saved it. He also adds that Si-jun has improved a lot since he started. After that, the game keeps going, and Si-jun dribbles forward with the ball until James slides in and steals it away. James passes it quickly to Oliver, who sends the ball straight toward Williams's head, and it bounces toward the goal, but Woo-jin manages to block it with a save. Right after, Ho shouts at him to start a counterattack. Afterward, Woo-jin passes the ball to Si-jun, who quickly runs with it down the field at full speed, but then Si-jun passes the ball over to Jong-hwan, who is in a better position to make a play. Everyone on the team thinks that thanks to Si-jun's smart pass and decision-making they can always counterattack quickly and catch the other team off guard when they get the chance. Afterward, Jong-hwan passes the ball to Taejun, who is running forward, and now both Taejun and Hyung are going to face off against the defender Taerun in a 2-against-1 situation. Taejun knows very well that Taerun cannot block and defend against 2 attackers at the same time by himself, so Taejun passes the ball to Hyung, who is in a good position to score, but the coach thinks to himself that Taerun is doing a good job marking both Hyung and Taejun very well while keeping the right distance from both of them. Meanwhile, Hyung decides to make more time and space for Taejun to pass the ball by holding onto it longer, but James is running toward them thinking to himself that playing for time is a basic defensive strategy. Afterward, Taejun shoots the ball toward the goal with a lot of power behind it, but instead of going inside the goal net where it should go, it hits the metal pole on the side and bounces away. However, the ball then goes to Jong-hwan, who came to the side of the goal just in time to get the rebound, and Jong-hwan shoots the ball again, but this time it goes high up in the air and misses the target completely. Seeing that Jong-hwan has missed another good opportunity to score, the coach decides to substitute for Jong-hwan with Manhwa, who might be able to do better in front of the goal. After that, Manhwa comes onto the field and takes the ball, thinking to himself that if he does not make something happen, he will end up as a substitute for the rest of his life. He pushes forward quickly and manages to move past Chiaki, but Chiaki soon catches up and tells him that while his technique is decent, he is still too slow. Manhwa gets angry because he believes the whole team sees him as even worse than Si-jun, who is only a rookie. Hyung, on the other hand, wonders why the coach decided to put this stubborn player in the game instead of using Jong-hwan. At the same time, the coach thinks that Manhwa is not enough to truly replace Jong-hwan, but since Manhwa is aggressive and combative, he might still be useful. He also knows that because the team has not built good synergy yet in this match, there is not much else they can do. At that moment, the coach feels it would have been much better if Ji-hyun had been available to play. The coach's assistant tells him that he should go and talk to Jong-hwan, but the coach answers that Jong-hwan will not listen to anything they say right now. At the same time, Hyung thinks that Jong-hwan might have played a little better, but Si-jun is improving more and more as the game goes on. Then, James shoves Si-jun while running, and Si-jun falls down on the ground. Watching this, the coach's assistant says to the coach that they need to take Si-jun out, since he has lasted this long already, but the coach replies that they should let him stay on the field for a little while longer. The assistant then responds that while he respects the coach's decision to some degree, he will not allow him to hurt the team just because of his personal ambition. However, the coach explains that Si-jun is not actually tired but different, because when players get exhausted their movement usually slows down, yet Si-jun's play has not dropped at all. In fact, the coach notices that Si-jun is the most focused one on the field, other than the substitutes. After that, Hyung makes a pass toward Namjoon, but a bald player from Liverpool jumps up and heads the ball away. The ball then lands with Williams, but this time Hyung and Ho close in quickly and block him tightly from both sides. Williams then keeps running down the field, but eventually he gets confused about what to do, thinking to himself that he just has to block the pass from the other team and keep the right distance from his opponents. Williams then tries to look around for an open space where he can make a play and sees Bangsu being lazy and not paying attention to the game, so he runs past Bangsu easily and keeps running forward, thinking that the Guangjin players are pathetic. Williams then comes closer to where Ho is standing and asks him what he will do now that he has lost his companions and teammates who were supposed to help him defend. However, Ho starts laughing at Williams and asks if he really did not know that this situation would happen exactly like this. Williams quickly runs past Ho with his speed and skill, but then Namjoon appears and sweeps his feet to trip him and blocks the ball from going any further. Afterward, Minwo and Chiaki both run toward the ball at the same time, and Minwo realizes that Chiaki is much more active and energetic than him, even though Chiaki came into the game at halftime and should be more tired. On the other hand, another player from the Liverpool team sweeps under Namjoon and tries to trip him, so Namjoon quickly passes the ball to Sejun, who is already feeling tired and exhausted from playing so hard. Just then, James runs into Sejun and hits him hard so that he falls down on the ground, and because of that rough contact, Guangjin gets awarded a free kick by the referee. Ji-hong tells Sejun that he looks really tired and worn out, so Ji-hong will take the shot instead of him, but Sejun insists that he wants to take it himself. Hyung tells him that the Liverpool players already know the aim and target he usually goes for, so he better save his energy for the right opportunity that will come later in the match. After calculating the distance and angle carefully, Sejun tells them that now is the perfect opportunity for him to kick the ball and try to score a goal. But Hyung tells him that he cannot kick because he is selfish and not thinking about what is best for the team. He also tells Sejun that everyone on the Liverpool team is paying close attention to him and expecting him to shoot, and Ji-hong also says that the distance from the goal is too much for Sejun to handle, because even if he were not tired he would have been able to kick better, but now that he is exhausted he is going to kick much worse than usual. However, Sejun still tells Hyung that he really wants to take this kick himself and try to make something happen, and Hyung tells Ji-hong that they should let him kick the ball and see what happens. Afterward, Sejun kicks the ball, but instead of shooting a direct shot toward the goal he shoots a long lateral pass across the field to a teammate. Earlier before the kick, Sejun explains to the team that Ji-hong has a really long shooting distance record, so he cannot be useful in this particular strategy that Sejun has planned. Back in the present, the ball begins to slow down as Ji-hong and the goalkeeper both rush toward it. Ji-hong manages to kick the ball, but instead of going into the net, it smashes against the goalpost and bounces back into play. Watching this, DOA realizes that if the ball had gone inside, it would have been a perfect goal. She believes that Hyung moved into the center before the pass and held his position, which gave Ji-hong the chance to use that moment. Meanwhile, Liverpool's coach watches in surprise and wonders how Ji-hong is able to play at such a high level while still being only a youth soccer player. Seeing how the players look on the field, Guangjin's coach thinks that his team is in much worse physical condition than their opponents, but despite their fatigue and being the visiting team, the Liverpool players are still pressuring them and not letting up at all. The coach thinks to himself that it is not necessary to execute a gegenpressing strategy right now because his players are too tired to handle that kind of intense defensive pressure. Meanwhile, James runs past Taesik easily with his speed and skill, so Ho shouts loudly at Taesik to not stop running and to keep pushing forward even if he makes a mistake while trying to defend. Now that James is completely blocked and surrounded from all sides by Guangjin players, he thinks to himself that this is another way of putting pressure on him and making his job harder, and that is exactly why he cannot even pass the ball quickly around to the side where there might be more space. Suddenly, James makes a back pass that slips right under Ho's legs and the ball heads straight toward Williams, but Hyung slides in and stops it with a sweep. After that, the ball gets loose, and both Hyung and Ho tell each other that if they do not attack now, it will be the end for them. Meanwhile, Sejun is so exhausted that he feels like he is about to lose consciousness. At the same time, Ji-hong passes the ball to Taejun, who shoots it toward the goal, but the goalkeeper easily grabs it. Watching this, DOA thinks to herself that it was their last chance to launch a proper attack on Guangjin. All of a sudden, Bangsu's leg cramps up and he falls to the ground in pain. Sejun also struggles badly because of extreme tiredness, so Hyung calls out to him, saying that he is standing right in what they call the dead center. He also tells him to get back up because he will make sure he wins. Hyung and Sejun reach the bottom and there isn't much extra time left either that makes the coach's assistant worry. Hyung tells Sejun to take care of his place in the center and prepare for the last chance, but Sejun is just recovering his breath as Hyung is talking to him. After that, Williams then charges forward with the ball and then Haeyoung and the others also gets ready to take him down. William manages to dodge 2 players of Si-jun's team and gets past them successfully. Seeing that happen, Si-jun's coach thinks that this is pressure for the place that enlarges the space with the defense to go to the bottom area of the field. On the other hand, Chiaki manages to get past other players and defenders, but he is feeling miserable and exhausted because he is tired and running out of energy. Just then, another player from Si-jun's team swings his leg and shoots the ball forward, thinking this is the last opportunity for the run and their final chance. The ball then gets to Si-jun, who is running straight towards the goal at full speed, but Ji-hong and Hyung tell him not to rush to give the pass and be careful with the offside rule and position. However, Si-jun feels much lighter than before and wonders if he will be able to run until the end of the match without getting tired. On the other hand, the coach's assistant thinks that the counterattack should be left in the hands of the fast players. Out of nowhere, Oliver catches up to Hyung and runs alongside him, and he always thought of Hyung as a rich brat who got everything in his life just because his father is wealthy and powerful, and that is the reason he wants to defeat him today in this match. After that happens, Si-jun manages to get ahead of everyone and move forward. He thinks that there is already a defender with Ji-hong and 3 defenders are with Hyung right now, so he wonders what he is going to do next and whom he is going to pass the ball to in a situation like this one. Just then, Hyung shouts at Si-jun and calls out to him, and he decides to pass the ball to him without hesitation. At the same time, James tries to steal the ball from Si-jun and take it away, thinking he can easily block it without it being called a fault or penalty. Si-jun's kick completely fails as he staggers and falls on the ground badly, and the umpire quickly gives a penalty to James. James' team then gets furious and angry at the umpire for giving a decision like that and making that call, while Si-jun's team is celebrating this moment and cheering with excitement. Hyung then tells Si-jun that he did a great job out there, but Si-jun says that he actually fell down for real because he ran out of strength and energy completely. Hyung tells Si-jun that refereeing errors and mistakes are part of the game and happen sometimes, and James also tells his team the same exact thing to calm them down. Si-jun then gets a free kick opportunity to take, but Ho asks Hyung if he will be okay and alright and can they trust him to make it. Hyung says that he has to kick it himself because he must learn and gain experience for the future ahead. However, Si-jun thinks that it is a refereeing error and mistake because both teams ran and did everything they could possibly do, but he knows that Hyung cannot explain the situation either to anyone. He then decides to trust Hyung and his decision and kicks the ball with force, but it hits the pole and bounces off, and the shot is missed completely. With that final play, the game is over and finished, and both teams have 1 point each in the final score. Everyone is just exhausted and tired, including Bong-soo, who cannot believe that they really managed to tie against Liverpool in this match. However, the red-headed guy says that if they had scored the penalty kick, they would be on the news today and get attention. Hearing that, Hyung gets upset and says that if it had not been for his goal earlier, they would not have tied at all, but the red-headed guy gets even more furious and starts arguing with him. Ho then tells them to stop arguing as Si-jun must be the most disappointed person here right now, so they should talk about it here and settle this. Just then, Si-jun arrives at where they are standing, and he apologizes to everyone for what happened, but Ji-hong tells him not to worry about it because penalties are a lot of pressure on the kicker taking them. Everyone then leaves the area and goes their separate ways. Si-jun starts walking away. He apologizes to Hyung and says that the bad kick was not on purpose at all, but Hyung says that he lies well and is not telling the truth. Hearing that, Si-jun gets angry and asks him if he can believe in anyone at all, but Hyung asks him how much he thought about the sentence "I want to win" in his mind during the game. He knows that Si-jun doubted it until the last moment before kicking, but Si-jun says that when James extended his leg out, he was already falling down because he had no strength left in his body. However, Hyung asks why he did not tell anyone about anything that happened, and he thinks that it is because everyone knows about it already, except him, and he is the only one left out. Hyung says that they should assume he respects everything and everyone's choices, but still, everyone has different thoughts and opinions about things, so there is no need to agree on everything, but all he can say right now is that his mediocre and condescending way of thinking one day will seriously harm them and cause problems. Meanwhile, the other team's coach is watching them talking from a distance far away, and he also realizes and figures out that Si-jun missed the shot on purpose and did it intentionally. Just then, Gwangjin's coach arrives at the scene and says that it was a disappointing result and outcome for everyone, but the other coach starts arguing with him loudly and says that the last foul call was pathetic and unfair. Gwangjin's coach says that if it were an international competition or tournament, it would make sense to say something like cooling break in this kind of hot weather and temperature. Hearing that response, the other team's coach gets furious and angry and thinks to himself that this guy has an answer for everything that comes up. The coach then tells his assistant to call the local management as soon as possible and right away because he does not want to return empty-handed without getting something out of the situation. The next day, Si-jun walks to school in the morning, still thinking about yesterday's kick and how he would not have hesitated in the end and he would have scored a goal just like Hyung said he should have. He thinks that if he did score the goal, everyone would be happy and celebrating, including Arya, his crush and girlfriend. He still does not understand if football is just about winning games and nothing else matters at all, and then he thinks about Hyung's words that meant he will bring harm to them one day in the future, so he thinks that he is just getting complicated about everything. He further believes that this is the most difficult problem he has ever had in his entire life up until now, but then William appears in front of him out of nowhere. Si-jun asks if he came to talk to Hyung about something, and that he should have gone to see him already since the coach left them to rest and take a break. However, William does not reply to him at all and stays completely silent, and Si-jun tries to leave and walk away, but he just does not let him go from any side whatsoever and blocks his path. Si-jun then wonders if it is because of the penalty kick from yesterday's game that he is acting like this. Si-jun then manages to run away from there somehow and get some distance, and he wonders what he is going to do if William chases him down, because he will not be able to run away again if that happens. Just then, the bus arrives at the stop right on time, and Si-jun tries to escape by getting inside quickly, but then William rushes forward and grabs Si-jun tightly. He then asks William why he is doing this to him, but then the coach of William appears and asks Si-jun if he rest peacefully. Sometime later, Si-jun sits with the coach and they both watch William playing with some kids in the park. Si-jun still can't believe that the coach was hiding behind William all this time just to talk to him. The coach tells Si-jun that if he think about it, then there is no sport as simple as soccer and its objective is to score a goal on goal. However, to achieve that goal, a dozen players run and fight amidst constant variables and sometimes unexpected results arrive. He thinks that Si-jun's play yesterday follows his philosophy and now he is here to tell some good news to him. He says that this day will be a unique day in his entire life because he is giving him the opportunity to play for Liverpool alongside the best players in the world, and he will perfect his skills and abilities there. The coach further says that they will cover all visas and stay expenses for his family and everyone, and he guarantees him that he will play as a starter on the team regularly. Hearing that offer, Si-jun gets shocked and surprised, which makes the coach think that Si-jun thinks that it is too good to be true and cannot be real. The coach then says that it is almost time for the renowned S. Gerald to be named as the director, who will both dedicate their careers to forming unprecedented legends in the history of Liverpool Football Club. Si-jun then apologizes to him and says that he cannot leave Gwangjin right now because of his promise to Hyung that he made earlier. Later that night, Hyung shouts at DOA to come quickly to his room, and then she rushes towards his room to find out that he is just thirsty and cannot get the water by himself because his legs hurt from playing. She then quickly goes back to the kitchen and grabs a full bowl of water and carries it back and throws it at Hyung instead of giving it to him nicely. Hyung then thinks about throwing her out of the house as soon as possible and getting rid of her, but then his phone rings loudly and he receives a text message from someone from Liverpool Football Club. Hyung then goes to meet him at a location and asks if Tyren is calmer now than before, but the guy says that he still cannot accept the latest decision that was made. Hyung then tells him that Si-jun feels very guilty for what happened during the game, and he says it was not a mistake that he made. Hyung then says that he is so indecisive about everything and they have thousands of problems to deal with, besides him. Like a captain who suffers alone without communicating with anyone and a bunch of egocentric players desperate to play and get playing time, and another player who resigns from the team completely. The guy tells Hyung that he can transform this place and make it better, but this place will not let him grow and develop as a player, and they do not have much time left to fulfill their dreams and goals in life. He says that he doesn't know how to express himself, but there is someone who can understand his potential and can fulfill his goals. He then gives Hyung a ticket to return tomorrow. The next day, Team Liverpool are waiting at a meeting spot, and some think that Hyung will not come to meet them, but Oliver says that he will come without fail and will definitely show up. Meanwhile, Ji-hong informs Si-jun that the coach is calling him and wants to see him right away, but Si-jun wonders why he would want to see him at this time. Ji-hong then asks Bong-soo why the other players look sad and upset about something, so he says that it is because they did not receive an offer from Liverpool to join their team. However, the other guy says that Liverpool played worse than when they faced them with Songnam in their previous match, but Bong-soo finds it strange as if as opponents they always played hard and gave their best effort. Just then, the red-headed guy gets furious and asks others about Hyung and where he is, so they get scared and tell him he might have gone with Liverpool, who are returning to England today. Everyone then starts showing their hate for Hyung and all the negative feelings they have, and they all chant together that they do not need Hyung anymore to win the national tournament this year. Just then, Hyung arrives at the practice field and shows up, and Ho starts crying over him with emotion and relief. Earlier that day, Hyung told the Liverpool representatives that he came back to give them their ticket back so that they can refund the money because he is not going back with them to England. Back in the present, the coach asks Si-jun that staying on the team will depend on his answer to this question, and he asks why he plays soccer and what his reason is. Sometime later, it is the Regional League third round between Gwangjin vs Taegok in an important match. Ji-hong does a nice sweep move against the opponent and takes the ball away, and the people watching that play think that Gwangjin are playing well as it does not look like they are ruined or struggling at all. The other guy says that they are the ones who are playing the best out of everyone because they brought someone from another country to join them and beat Songnam in their game. He even tells the other guy that they played against Liverpool in a match and it was a tied game with both teams getting equal points, which the other person does not believe is true at all. The guys say that the starts played and it was every even, but the other guy thought that the first-class midfielder who makes incredible passes. Gwangjin then gets a 2-point score against Team Taegok in their match, and they cannot believe that Gwangjin has someone like that on their roster, but they do not see anyone on the court with a pass like the one they are talking about because it is a secret weapon they are hiding. After that play happens, the coach tells Si-jun to finish the match and end it strong. Earlier in time, when the coach asked Si-jun why he would like to stay on the team and what his reason is, Si-jun says that he does not know it yet and has not figured it out. Hearing that answer, the coach tells Si-jun to go away and stop playing soccer completely, but Si-jun says that it was not his intention at first to play soccer when he started. He says that it is hard to explain the reason right now at this moment, but he does not want to stop playing either way. The coach then asks him directly if yesterday's penalty kick was on purpose and intentional, but Si-jun does not answer the question at all. The coach tells him to remember that soccer may even seem like a simple game to him, but for the rest of the players, it is their future and their entire lives. He then warns Si-jun that if he harmed the team again like yesterday, then he will kick him out immediately, no matter how talented he is. Back in present, coach's assistant asks him if they can hide everything they can from Si-jun as his weakness is so obvious that they continue to expose him. However, the coach says that they cannot think only about the risks even though it is dangerous to expose him. He even tells him directly that he will not just use Si-jun as a substitute player, as it is not certain that they will always win every single game either, so they must add points and score every time they can get the opportunity. In the match that follows, Si-jun shoots the ball ahead down the field, which Jonghwan struggles to get to and cannot reach in time, so the coach thinks to himself that Jonghwan has not fully recovered from his injury yet. The ball then gets to Si-jun, who receives it perfectly, and then he scores a goal that wins the game, and the game is over with Si-jun's team's victory over the opponents. Hyung then goes to Jonghwan after the match and asks him if he is so sad about the recent pass that he missed, but Jonghwan slaps his hand off of him with anger and walks away without saying anything. Later in the locker room after the game, everyone starts celebrating their victory and having fun together, but then the coach arrives and wonders sarcastically if they won the tournament and he did not know about it. He then checks a list on his clipboard and tells them not to relax and get too comfortable, as they are missing more than half of what they need to do. He then tells Bong-soo and Taesik with criticism that the pantry is the beginning of the attack, so why did they not coordinate with the second line and work together better? He then tells Namju that he knows that he is covering everywhere on the field and working hard, but enough of passing up opportunities and being too unselfish, because when it is his turn to shoot, then he has to take the shot and score. In the end, he tells Si-jun that the ego goal at the end was not bad and then he leaves. Everyone starts encouraging Si-jun that he is definitely a genius. Later that evening, the coach's assistant asks him why he is so cold, as if they go well because he ruined the boys' mood, but the coach asks if he didn't see how they were and if it is okay with him. On the other hand, Ho asks Hyung to go and apologize to Jonghwan for what happened, but Hyung gets angry and tells him not to get involved with his stuff and personal business. The coach then approaches Jonghwan with concern and worry and asks him if he has not recovered 100% from his injury yet and if he is still hurting. We then get a flashback. Jonghwan visits a doctor at a hospital who told him that he recovered almost 100% from his injury, as this injury was supposed to leave no consequences at all on his body. He even tells him that he can play in the national tournament tomorrow without any problems or issues happening. Back in the present, Jonghwan says and lies to the coach that the doctor told him that maybe it could still have some after effects and lingering issues from the injury. The coach then asks him if he has another injury that he doesn't know about, but Jonghwan says that it's not the case and leaves. Later that night, Jonghwan trains alone on the field and thinks to himself that despite being surrounded by colleagues and teammates, if someone gets frustrated, nobody can console them properly, and they cannot either count on no one but themselves. Jonghwan thinks that he is not going to trust anyone else with his success, and he thinks about Si-jun, whose final goal in the match was not bad at all. He has never seen a genius like Si Jun in his entire life. He thinks to himself that at some point in his life, he was also called a genius just like Si Jun is being called now, but he wonders if Si Jun was a genius in the past or if he worked for it. 2 years ago, when Jonghwan was in second year of high school, he was having a match with his team. At that time all the high school coaches were paying attention to him and watching his every move. Seeing that play, the coach thinks that the team Jonghwan belongs to does not get much investment or support from anyone at all. He thinks that Jonghwan is capable of changing the flow of the match by his strength and individual skill alone, and that means the other players are terrible and not very good. Jonghwan then shows incredible footwork and ball control that surprises the other team's player completely, who wonders if he is really a second-grader student at his age. He then tells everyone on his team not to rush forward too fast, as the rest of the players are just for decoration and show, so they have to stop him and focus on Jonghwan only. However, Jonghwan appears out of nowhere on the field again, and he rushes forward with the ball at his feet with incredible speed and determination. Seeing that, Chonil High School coach Yonu Lee thinks that Jonghwan is good at everything like his dribbling skills, his speed and quickness, and his shooting ability too. He thinks that he is a perfect striker player, so if he manages to grow at this pace and keeps improving, then Jonghwan will be a candidate to change the history of football in their country. On the other hand, Jonghwan's teammate asks him to pass the ball over to him for a better shot, but Jonghwan thinks that it is the last chance they have, and he thinks that he can pass to his teammate who is in a good position on the field and it will not fail or go wrong. He then passes the ball towards his teammate on the field, but the other team's player head bumps the ball away and intercepts it, and the match gets over and ends right there. Jonghwan's teammate then asks him if there is something wrong with him and if he is okay, because sometimes he wins games and performs well and sometimes he loses and does not play his best. However, Jonghwan asks him back if he could have put it in the goal if he had received the pass from him. Later that day, a guy from the team beats up his teammates physically for playing like trash and performing badly. He asks them when they are all going to be like these weak players who do not care if they are there on the team or not. Jonghwan knows how the coach feels, but he thinks that despite the tradition, there are different characteristics of the match. He wonders if they meet to play together just for fun and enjoyment, and every day was happy and filled with simple days when they got angry if they lost a game but laughed if they won instead. Jonghwan then notices Gubin, whose seriousness was unexpectedly funny and amusing to watch, and he was the one with the warmest heart out of all of them. Another one is Jangwook, who is always energetic, and there is also Shin Donghyuk and Lee Songjang who play with them regularly too. Lastly, there is Jongsu, who has skills in both football and daily life activities, and he is the one who knows him the best because they were always together and spent time with each other. Everyone then thinks that the coach might have given up on them completely, which could be because they do not even work hard or put in effort during practice. Just then, Jonghwan receives a call from the coach, who calls him over to a restaurant. The coach tells Jonghwan that it's sudden, but he thinks that he should leave the team. Hearing that, Jonghwan gets shocked and surprised by what he hears, but the coach explains everything to him in detail and clarifies the situation. Later on, Jongsu asks Jonghwan what the coach told him in private and what they talked about, but he tells him that it is nothing special at all, as he is just worried about the team and their performance. Gubin says that it is going to be difficult to win this time around, as the form of the other teams improved a lot since they last played. He further says that if they lose this match, they are out of the league completely, and he thinks that they will not be able to win all the remaining games they have left. However, Jongsu tells him to stop talking negatively like that, as they are still going to keep working towards the win no matter what happens. Jongsu then says that it doesn't matter who the opponent is, as they should just play to have fun, so they won't regret it later. Gubin says that they will have another chance next year, but he wonders if they can play until then. Hearing that, Jonghwan gets serious and he tells both of them that they are going to win tomorrow. The next day, it's the match between Jonghwan's team and Dongsun. The coach tells everyone that the opponent's defense is better, so if Gubin takes the ball away, Ji Iwook will support him. Lastly, the coach tells them to play as they want and do whatever feels right, because there is no invincible team in this world that cannot be beaten. The match starts with the kickoff, and Jongsu thinks that the first attack is important to not lose the ball right away, but then he passes the ball forward to Jonghwan to start the play. However, he then gets surrounded by the other team's players from all sides, so their coach thinks that this kind of breakthrough move only works on elementary level games and not on national level competitions. Jongsu thinks that Jonghwan is not going to try to do it alone and take them all on, because the players do not look like someone from high school and they look much stronger. He then shouts at Jonghwan to pass the ball, but Jonghwan switches directions and starts running the other way. Just then, the opponent player named Myung Cheol appears in front of him out of nowhere, and Jonghwan remembers that the coach told him to be careful with the sweeps and tackles from defenders. Myung-cheol then manages to predict Jongwon's patterns and movements and starts tackling him hard to stop him, but then Jongwon easily runs past him with speed and scores a goal into the net. Seeing that happen, the entire stadium goes silent and quiet as they cannot believe that Jongwon managed to score a goal against such a strong team, but the other team starts mocking him and trash-talking. They say that he only has speed and nothing else to offer, and he just got lucky this time with that goal, but now there will not be another chance for him to score again in this match. The match then continues with both teams playing hard and Jongwon manages to steal the ball from the opponent player. He tries to run forward, but they surround him with the same pattern as before to stop him. He then quickly runs past all of them with amazing speed and scores another goal with the same attack route he used before. Seeing that second goal happen, the stadium again goes silent as everyone gets shocked and cannot believe what they just witnessed. The other team's coach wonders how he scored another goal with the same exact pattern as if he were making fun of him and showing off, so why is someone like him playing in Chonil High School? However, Connell's coach thinks that the game without partners is getting stronger and more intense, as Jongwon has never really shown them his true abilities until now. Myung then tells Jongwon that he misunderstood him before and got the wrong idea, and he thinks that he is the same as him, who also thinks the other players are pathetic and weak. He says that especially the bigger ones who are talentless people only trusting their physique and body strength, and when they enter high school level, they will be left out and not make it. He then asks Jongwon if he does not trust his team and that is the reason he wants to draw all the attention to himself. However, Jongwon tells him to leave his high school delusions and fantasies in his head, as he looks pathetic here in front of everyone. The match then continues with both teams fighting hard, and every Chonil player thinks that there is something wrong with Jongwon as he looks worried and troubled, but they still decide to support his rhythm and playing style, as he might have his own reasons for playing this way. Myung then manages to catch up to Jongsu on the field and tries to steal the ball from him before he can pass it to Jongwon for another attack. Myung manages to steal the ball from him successfully, and then he scores a goal for his team and puts points on the board. Seeing that goal happen, the coach thinks that the difference between Jongwon and the other players is very great and noticeable. Unlike Jongwon, who overwhelms opponents with his talents and abilities, the other players are a burden for Jongwon and holding him back. After that play, Jongwon tells Hyunsu that if they put themselves in position so absurdly and poorly, the flow is cut off and interrupted, and it will go badly for them until the end of the match. So, he asks him to concentrate on the match and focus better. Seeing that behavior, Jongsu feels weird and uncomfortable because Jongwon has never told them about their mistakes before in the past, so he asks him about it and why he is acting this way. Jongwon tells him to change the pass route because it is easy to read and predict because it is so simple and basic, but Jongsu asks him why he is acting so differently. Earlier that day, the coach told Jongwon that he should leave the team as soon as possible, because there is no more support for their team financially and it will break up soon anyway. He further tells Jongwon that it is impossible to win now with this current team, and with his talent and skill level, he can stand out anywhere he goes and join any team. The coach then says that he knows Jongwon hid his talent from his friends on purpose, and because of that, he needs to leave the team right now. He explains that if Jongwon wants to raise his value as a player, he should go before they officially split up and the whole team breaks apart. Back in the present, the coach feels guilty because he knows Jongwon is completely worn out from the league, yet he is still giving his best, and it feels like a shame to him because he wishes there were more talented people around to support Jongwon. Back in the present, the other players surround Si-jun and ask him if he can make the croquette technique or do the little snake move with the ball. The other guy then says that they do not need those tricks and fancy moves, as Si-jun without those tricks is still the best rookie player in the entire team. However, Si-jun says that they are wrong about that, as there are many good players on the team like Hyung and Jongsu who are also very skilled. The players do not believe that statement at all, as they already heard the rumors that he is the only one who plays in key moments and important situations. On the other hand, some guy watching this scene thinks that at first glance, Si-jun looks like a baseball player because of his build, so how does he play better than Hyung and Jongsu in soccer? Hyung thinks that this is not good at all for Si-jun, but the girl sitting beside him asks if he is jealous of Si-jun getting attention, so Hyung says that the Si-jun that he knows is not like the rest of the players. He thinks that he feels a lot of pressure due to expectations from everyone, but with that level of skill, it is impossible not to attract attention from people. In the match on the field, the ball gets to Si-jun, who does not pass it to his teammate right away, because that position is just offside and would not count. Just then, the opposite team players try to steal the ball from him and take it away, but Si-jun thinks that compared to Ji-hong's ability and speed, they are so slow that he knows what they will do before they do it. Si-jun then does not react at all to their movements, which surprises everyone watching, and they are thinking what this guy is doing in football and why he is not moving. After that, the match continues, and Si-jun keeps struggling, which makes his teammates think that he might not be feeling well today or that the pressure is simply too much for him to handle. Hyung believes that Si-jun sees the game differently from the rest of them, and Si-jun starts reading the ball in his own unique way. Hyung then yells at another attacker to just keep running forward. Hyung thinks that the other team looks confused too, so he wonders how they can possibly leave Si-jun unmarked like this. Meanwhile, the other attacker keeps running just like Hyung told him to, but he can't see anything clearly because the sun is shining directly in his eyes. The attacker then thinks about a dream where he just wakes up in his room in the morning, and a courier delivery guy enters his room without permission. He then places a mysterious box on the ground in front of him, and when he opens the box for the guy to see, he gets shocked to see that it is just a meal and food inside. The shipment guy even feeds him with his own hands directly, which surprises him and makes him confused about what is happening. Suddenly in real life, the ball hits the attacker's head hard and he wakes up from the dream immediately, but the ball goes straight into the basket and the goal. Everyone then starts cheering for him loudly as he managed to score a goal for the team accidentally, and they even encourage Si-jun for his assistance in the match and the perfect pass. Hyung thinks that Si-jun is an enviable talent for anyone who plays football and wants to succeed. Afterward, it is the first goal thanks to Si-jun for Team F, and from then on and moving forward, F led the game and controlled the pace. First, Team D tried to mark Si-jun closely and stop him, but it was too late to make a difference. Hyung thinks that Si-jun still shows that he is a rookie with some mistakes, but it is noticeable even among amateur players that pride is at stake of each course and match, and Si-jun took advantage of his last opportunity when it came. In the end, both teams tie the match with equal points, which Hyung finds pretty exaggerated and surprising, but Si-jun is feeling better because they will not be able to humiliate them because they did not lose. Later on, Si-jun's teammates talk about how not everyone can make it onto the team or play at such a high level. They say that they didn't lose because of Si-jun but actually thanks to how well he played today. The players then tell Si-jun to get ready, but he wonders if they will have to go up against Hyung in their next match. The guys tell him that he is way better than that loser, Hyung. At the same time, Jongsu, who is also washing up nearby, asks Si-jun if he also thinks that he is the best out of everyone. Si-jun replies that Jongsu, Do-hyung and Ho show a level of performance that he can't even imitate in each match and he is not even close to the team's heels. Si-jun then asks him if he does not want to be the part of the team anymore, but he says that he wants to be on it, but there is no place for people like him who are useless and do not contribute. Jongsu further says that he has no idea how much experience he has in soccer and playing the game, but he lacks a lot of physical fitness and strength compared to others. He then asks Si-jun to think that he might be the reason why Gwangjin suffers so much in every game they play, and that he is nothing without Hyung being there to help him and carry the team. Just then, Hyung arrives at the scene and says that without Si-jun, he could not play football at all and asks if he clearly knows what he is saying and understands his words. Hyung then tells him that he will show him today what real football is like and what it means to play. Later at lunchtime, Hyung tells the other team that they should break the tie with a challenge match between Si-jun and Jongsu to settle things. Hearing that proposal, everyone says that they are not going to wait for a week to see this happen, and they can even skip lunch just to watch this match and see who wins. Hyung then explains all the rules they have to follow, saying that they must strike the opponent's can and knock it down, and when it's their turn, if they manage to hit it, they earn a point for themselves. However, Jongsu asks Hyung if doing this in front of so many spectators is too embarrassing, but Hyung says that he doesn't care about any of that. Hyung then tells Si-jun that there is a reason he puts him into challenges like this and he reminds him to remember everything he has learned and use it properly, because if he does that, he can beat him without any problem. Afterward, we get a flashback scene of Gwangjin vs Sujin match where everyone says that Gwangjin cannot do anything without Jongsu playing for them, but they are shocked to see that the substitute is not him but Si-jun instead on the field. Seeing that change, they thought that he might be a beginner player with no experience, but in every shot he takes, it has a weight that appears to be a professional level player. Later at the Gwangjin vs Taegok Regional League match, everyone once again talks about Si-jun and his impressive performance, which makes Jongsu jealous and upset about the attention. He thinks that Si-jun is improving rapidly with every game so much and so quickly, that it might even leave him behind and make him irrelevant to the team. Back in the present time, Si-jun and Jongsu run with the ball towards each other, and Si-jun thinks that he will be able to dodge it with his hagging technique and skills. He then decides to aim directly at the object and tries to kick the ball hard, but Jongsu kicks at the same exact time, and the ball just goes flying up in the air instead. Hyung then catches the ball in his hands and says that the team play and 1-against-1 are very different things, as it will not be familiar to Jongsu because he does not understand it at all. However, Si-jun thinks that it is a very different game than anyone he has ever played before, as he has to face it alone without help from his teammates at all, so the opponent has his look fixed on him and watches his every move. The ball then gets to Jongsu again, and Hyung wonders what kind of hate he has for Si-jun to play like this. Jongsu then runs with the ball at his feet and he thinks that someone who is there only for talent without effort cannot stop his attack and movements. He then starts dribbling with skill and control, which makes Si-jun think that he has to focus hard, because if he touches the ball, then he will be able to attack and counter. However, Jongsu then manages to run past Si-jun with speed and skill, but then Si-jun sweeps the ball cleanly away from him with perfect timing. Si-jun then manages to steal the ball cleanly from Jongsu with a perfect tackle, which leaves everyone surprised and shocked by what they just saw. Just then, the coach arrives at the scene as well to watch what is happening. The girl who was with Hyung earlier during the day thinks to herself that Si-jun of now looks like a completely different person compared to before when she first met him. Si-jun then tells Jongsu to cancel what he said a while ago if he wins this one-on-one challenge, but Jongsu says with confidence that it does not matter if he runs until the sole of his boot breaks. He thinks that it's because the only thing he has is the passes and that is why everyone follows his rhythm and trusts him. After that, Jongsu charges forward with aggression, saying that Si-jun is just being an obstacle for Jongwon and nothing more, but then Si-jun tries to shoot again at the goal, but then he makes a feint and fakes the shot instead. Jongsu then tries to sweep the ball away from him, but Si-jun does a double feint that catches him off guard. Seeing that incredible move, the other players get excited and start chanting both of their names loudly. Si-jun thinks that Jongsu should have fallen in the fright, but he is way too fast and at this rate, he will take the ball from him before it touches the goal. Suddenly, Si-jun falls on the ground, which makes everyone worried for him. The coach then quickly runs to him and checks his knee, saying it looks like a mild sprain. However, Si-jun tells the coach that it was a hard hit but he is fine. On the other hand, Hyung is freaking out at Jongsu and blaming him for what happened, but Si-jun tells him to stop and calm down, as it was also his mistake to defend more and not attack when he should have. The coach then tells the three of them to come with him to his office right now. At the office when they arrive, Si-jun explains everything to the coach about what happened and says that this is the reason they did 1-against-1 to settle things and figure out who should be in what position. The coach then gets angry at Hyung for going to a game without his permission to play one-on-one and make decisions on his own. He then tells Si-jun with disappointment that he did not know he was so dumb to have to tell him even such basic rules about asking for permission first. He tells Si-jun that today he was just lucky and got hurt a little bit, but if he had been seriously injured and hurt badly, then no one would have been responsible for what happened. The coach says that he could have regretted this for the rest of his whole life for an injury outside of a normal match in training like this. He then tells Jongsu that if he aspires to be a football player in the future, then he should not put his feelings in his boots when playing. Jongsu then apologizes for everything that happened and tries to take all the blame, but Si-jun says that he is the one who made the biggest mistake in the situation and he thinks it's unfair to make Jongsu responsible for something that happened during the match when both of them were just playing hard. The coach then says he won't let this slide and tells Si-jun and Hyung that they will have to clean the dressing rooms and the bathroom for a whole week, but Hyung immediately starts begging the coach to change his mind. Just then, Jongwon walks into the room and looks at Jongsu with clear anger in his eyes. Later, Jongsu apologizes to Si-jun for playing so aggressively, but he tells him that it's alright because it was just a part of the game. Jongsu asks Si-jun why he defended him in front of the coach, but Si-jun says that he doesn't think Jongsu meant to hurt him in the first place. Hyung then asks Jongsu about the rumor that he used to play football really well until high school, and he asks which school he went to. Jongsu answers with honesty that he is from Chonil originally, which makes Hyung realize and understand that Jongwon must also be from somewhere around that area as well. Si-jun then asks Jongsu with curiosity what kind of relationship he has with Jongwon and how they know each other, but Jongsu stays quiet and does not give any answer to the question. Jongsu tells him that he made a big mistake against him before and did something he regrets. At the same time, the coach tells Jongwon that as of today, he will be excluded from Gwangjin High School entry and cannot join the team anymore. Earlier that day, the coach called Chonil High School to ask Jongwon's teacher about him and his condition. The teacher tells him that he tried his best to contact him separately with the news of his recovery and healing, but Jongwon said that he wanted to deliver it directly to him in person instead. The teacher says that Jongwon has completely recovered ahead of this important time and is ready to play again. Back in the present, the coach tells Jongwon that he must be having a hard time suffering alone all this time without telling anyone, and he can understand him, but the decision is already made and cannot be changed now. The coach says that there is no need for him to explain why he has been fooling him all this time and lying, as every time he asked him about his health and condition, he would say it did not hurt at all. Jong-hwan then asks the coach if he is planning on giving up on him completely, but the coach says that he is no help to the team now in his current state. On the other hand, Jong-soo tells Si-jun and Hyung that it was Jong-hwan who devoted himself more to the team than anyone else did, and they did not even know that until right before disbanding and breaking up. Hyung says that he cannot help with this situation because Jong-hwan has been overly obsessive about his past mistakes and cannot let them go. Jong-soo then decides to leave, but Si-jun asks him if he still wants to play with Jong-hwan. However, Jong-soo replies that he can't run alongside him anymore as he realizes the world is different from monsters like him. He wants to see Jong-hwan play without being tied down by anything, so he wants Si-jun to be by Jong-hwan's side and give him strength. Later, Si-jun and Hyung gets done with their training, but Si-jun asks him about Jong-soo earlier, asking if he wants to tell the coach to put him on the soccer team. Hearing that, Hyung gets mad and says that it's not some kind of early soccer ground that just recruit anyone who wants to join. He then tells him not to go somewhere and say something like that because others are going to get furious. On their way out of the field, Hyung tells Si-jun that Jong-soo is a bit much for an amateur player, as if someone looks at it there is no sense of power here in his playing. Si-jun says that it is not about skills at all, but he will be a good influence for Jong-hwan as well, who has been avoiding even talking to them lately. Just then, they notice Jong-hwan training until late at night by himself, so Si-jun wants to help him, but Hyung says the opposite and thinks they should not. Si-jun and Namju decide to go over to him anyway and greet him nicely, but then Hyung appears out of nowhere and starts yelling at him loudly. Hyung tells him that even though he is having a hard time right now, he should look around and notice that everyone is always there for him and wants to support him no matter what. Namju agrees with Hyung and says that as long as the ball hasn't gone out of the touchline, he must never give up. The next day, at the stadium for the fourth game of Group G in the national competition, a guy named Myung suddenly threw the ball toward Jong-hwan. Jong-hwan does not understand why he is doing this to him, so Myung reminds him of the time when he thought it was an impressive match when they were playing against each other before. Jong-hwan says that it was the sweeper technique in the middle of the movement that he used back then, which Myung says is the correct answer and he remembers it well. Just as Myung starts talking rubbish and trash to him, someone throws the ball back at him and hits him. It turns out that Hyung was the one who threw that ball at him, asking if he is that scared of playing. Hyung tells Si-jun that he thought about it for a moment, but he guesses he should have kicked the ball instead of throwing it. Si-jun says that he does not do such dangerous things that could hurt people. The other team's player starts yelling at Hyung, but Ho quickly interferes and says that Myung was the one who started all this. Myung then asks Jong-hwan if he's still intentionally only picking teams that are falling, or is it just that the bubble has finally disappeared. Later on, the coach explains to the team that unless there is a special situation that comes up, the pressure will be as loose as possible today during the match. He then tells Ji-hong and Mingyu to coordinate the overall overlapping timing with each other, and on the offense lineup, it is Taejun and Hyung who will lead the attack. Earlier that day, Jong-hwan got on his knees and told the coach that it does not matter even if he is a substitute player, but he should just give him one more chance to prove himself. However, the coach says that if it had been a physical injury he was dealing with, he might have listened to his insistence and request, but if it is a psychological issue instead, it is a different story completely. The coach further says that there is still a lot of time left for him in his career and future, but now is the time when it is okay to take a step back and rest. Jong-hwan asks him what about the time left at Gwangjin High School and his teammates, as now they do not know when the team's end will come and when it will disband. Jong-hwan says that if he cannot do anything here and now, then he will not be able to take a single step forward after this moment in his life. Back in the present time, the coach tells Jong-hwan that he and Hyung will be under particularly strong defensive pressure from the other team, so they should not get caught by pointless provocation and trash talk from opponents. Afterward, the match begins with the kickoff and Bong-soo decides to do something different this time because the more he looks at Hyung, the more he hates him and wants to beat him. He then kicks off the ball which gets to the opposing side's team quickly, and Myung gets it and controls it. Si-jun keeps following him closely and marking him, which makes the other team's players think that he is smaller than the rumors say about him. Myung asks him if he is the Liverpool guy that is famous for their passes and skill, but Si-jun tells him that it is not him but it is Hyung instead, which makes Myung even more fired up and angry. He then shoots the ball hard at Hyung's shoulder intentionally, and the ball bounces off and gets to Ho instead. The match continues with Taejun wondering if they score the first goal early, they can relieve the burden on the defensive line and make things easier, but Bong-soo says that it is really hot today and the weather is affecting them. Ji-hong tells Mingyu that he has to be prepared to defend today because their defensive line has to block well, so the attackers can play without pressure and worry. Taejun then passes the ball to Jonghwan, who then sees that Hyung is asking for the ball and wants it. He keeps running forward with the ball, thinking that infiltrating alone from the beginning is still too early in the match. He then shoots the ball straight towards Hyung, who thinks that Myung is the center of the surprise attack and will try to stop it. Meanwhile, the coach's assistant thinks that Hyung has a problem, which is that he does not know how precious one chance to attack is in a match, and he is just showing some attitude and confidence. The coach says that it is a good thing because he likes the boldness that Hyung has in his playing style. He thinks back to his former player days when everyone tries to avoid making mistakes as long as they catch the ball safely, as they were afraid of getting hit and scolded by their seniors and coaches, so they did not even try risky plays if they were not sure they would work perfectly. Furthermore, he says that looking back at their past, they were not only interested in soccer but also in anything else that they enjoyed, and he thinks that he missed the opportunity by hesitating so much every single time it came up. Meanwhile, Hyung thinks that these players have no intention of playing soccer properly and are just playing dirty. Taejun then manages to steal the ball from the opposite team player and take it away, and then both of them rush to get it and control it, but the opposing team player cannot do much because Taejun is a big guy and has the physical advantage. The ball then gets to Jonghwan again, so Ho and Si-jun start running towards him to help with the attack, but Jonghwan thinks that both of them will be blocked in no time by the defenders. Seeing that hesitation, the coaches wonder why Jonghwan is judging so slowly and not making decisions quickly, as they think it would have been better to send Minwo out as originally planned instead. The assistant guy tells the coach that yesterday, he stayed up all night planning and wrapping his head around the strategy, but the coach gives him the notebook back and tells him to watch this and look at it. The guy gets shocked to see that there is plan B that includes Jonghwan as the starter in the lineup. During the match, Jonghwan manages to run past the opposite team's player with his dribbling, but the player keeps following him and does not give up. Jonghwan does not want to give up the ball that easily and lose possession, so he just pushes the guy with force, and the player then falls on the ground hard. Seeing that aggressive play, Ho wonders and questions why Jonghwan is so impatient and playing so rough, and if he keeps going like that then others will be in trouble and they might get penalties. The opposite team's coach thinks to himself that with Gwangjin's offensive power and attacking ability, there is no way they can break through their defense and score goals. Myung then tries to put pressure on the other team's players by talking, saying that they are the strongest team in the tournament and they are going to win this match no matter what happens. Seeing this, the other team's coach gets angry because Gwangjin is using a Gaijin pressing formation, which is a very high difficulty tactic. Si-jun thinks that Myung is definitely planning something, but Namju tells him to leave the front line to them and focus on watching the overall flow of the game. When Si-jun hears that, it hits him hard, because ever since their last friendly match against Liverpool, they have been trying to find a pressing tactic that would fit their team. The coach thinks that it was definitely hard for players at their level to use such a high-pressure system. He wonders to himself that physical strength and organizational power are two things inevitably supported by strong pressure and coordination, and for them and their team, these things are inadequate and not at the level they need. So, in order to ultimately implement a form of pressure that suits them and their playing style, the roles of those three players were essential and absolutely necessary. Like Namju, who has overwhelming physical strength compared to others and can dominate physically, and Ho, who is specialized in line tuning and keeping the formation organized, and lastly Si-jun placed in the rear to control everything from the back. However, the other coach wonders and questions if this is not too extreme a gamble and risky to be used in real life during an actual match with so much on the line. The coach says that the other team is defensive in their approach and playing style, and its overall speed is one level lower than theirs, so they can exploit that weakness and take advantage of it. Namju and Ho manage to steal the ball from the opposing team's player with good defense, and they pass it to Si-jun, saying that now is the time for him to show what he can do. Seeing that pass coming to him, the opponent player named Bitna tells Si-jun with warning that if he approaches this rashly and without thinking, he will only end up causing chaos in the camp and making things worse for his team. Bitna then rushes forward with speed so that he can apply some pressure on the ball, but Si-jun then decides to do a fake kick to fool him and quickly passes the ball back to Jonghwan instead. The ball then moves towards Jonghwan through the air, but Myung just sweeps and hits the ball with his leg, which causes it to go outside the field and out of bounds. The opposite team's coach thinks to himself that a pass that clears a distance that appears to be at least 40 meters in one go is really impressive and shows great skill. Si-jun then gets a free kick for his team after the ball goes out of bounds, and Taejun gives him the signal to send the ball to him so he can try to score a goal. Si-jun then kicks the ball with precision that goes straight towards Taejun in the box, but then Mayong appears out of nowhere and head bumps the ball away from the goal. Seeing that defensive play, everyone thinks that Taejun is losing in the competition for the ball and cannot win against Mayong, but the other team's coach thinks to himself that no matter how accurate the cross is from Sejun, there is nothing to be afraid of for them at all. He thinks with confidence that it is because they have the strongest defenders in the region on their team who can handle anything. Just then, Jongsu and his friend also arrive at the stadium to watch the match and see how things are going. Jongsu tells him that today is a really important game for Jonghwan, as they may not be able to help him directly, but they want to give him a little strength here by supporting him from the stands. The guy asks him about the game and the situation, as looking at the corner kick situation that just happened, he thinks that it does not seem that bad for their team. Jongsu tells him with worry that it is the third time in a row that they have had corner kicks in the same spot without scoring. He thinks that number 4 is the defender on that line who is really good, and not only his defensive sense but his physical strength has also improved beyond recognition from when he last saw him. On the other hand, Mayong asks Jonghwan sarcastically if it is funny that if it is this accurate of a cross, he will put one in even if he does not want to score. Taejun then ignores that and tells Sejun to throw one more time at him and give him another chance, but Sejun says that he keeps failing because his pass is lacking and not good enough. He then thinks to himself about focusing more so that they can get a little closer to their captain and help him succeed. Sejun then shoots the ball again with more focus, and this time Taejun tries to push Mayong using his body weight to create space, but Mayong still manages to force himself in and hits the ball with his head to clear it away. Seeing that happen again, everyone gets frustrated because it is the 4th corner kick already and they still have not scored from any of them. Hyung tells Jihong to go up and join the attack once, but Jihong says that they will just prepare for a counterattack from the rear instead and stay back. The coach thinks that Mayong's physical strength is inferior to Taejun's but his defensive sense is outstanding. However, the other team's coach thinks that there is no need to be afraid of the continuous corner kick situation like now. He thinks to himself that in reality, the value of corner kicks is not as high as it seems and knows statistically that only 1 in 5 corner kicks result in a valid shot on goal. At the same time, Gwangjin's second coach thinks to himself that if it were the usual Taejun playing at his best, he would not be pushed back so easily by this defender. The head coach tells him in response that Taejun is a guy who puts the team first, even if he does not show it on the outside with his words or actions. Taejun then signals to Sejun, telling him to look for another attack route instead of passing toward the captain's position, where he is already being covered. Sejun shoots the ball toward Ho in a different area, but another player from the opposing team blocks it again and stops them from scoring. Sejun thinks that no matter which foot he uses, player number 4 keeps blocking it, so the most predictable option is his right foot. Namju then tells Sejun that this time they need to kick from the opposite corner, but Sejun is confused because he was just about to kick with his right foot again. However, Jihong thinks to himself that in a corner kick situation, the defender would be more psychologically chaste and under pressure and everyone is flustered by the unfamiliar situation they are in right now. The opponent team's captain, whose name is Dahun, thinks that no matter how many corners kick opportunities Sejun gets in the future during this match, unless he can take away the right to serve from Mayong and the zombie guy who keeps blocking, it will be difficult to capitalize on the chance with just a normal cross. He further analyzes that the only target to watch out for is Sejun and his ability, and in terms of accuracy of the kick, he is one of the best kickers he has ever faced in his entire career. However, Gwangjin's coach thinks that both teams will soon start losing focus and if the same situation is repeated many times, the tension will naturally be relieved. Mayong then tells Dahun that no matter how many corner kicks he take, his accuracy doesn't drop at all and if it wasn't that kid in the first place, there wouldn't have been so many corner kicks. Sejun then gives a signal to Jonghwan that he is going to pass the ball to him this time. Sejun then shoots the ball that goes straight towards Jonghwan that surprises everyone. Jonghwan then quickly shoots a goal but the goalkeeper blocks it and the ball gets back to Mayong. Jonghwan tells himself not to be shaken because he kicked it well and the keeper blocked it well as well. On the other hand, Hyung says that he will block everything so they can come up as much as they want. Seeing that, the other team's coach wonders if they think speed is everything in counterattack. He believes that a counterattack is not always only about pushing with a small number of fast feet and the whole team works together and passes it on step by step. Taesik then tries to sweep to steal the ball but the player tries to pass to his partner. Ho quickly steals the ball from the opponent with good defense, but Mayong appears out of nowhere and forcefully steals the ball back from him with his strength. Gwangjin's coach thinks to himself that there is a crack in teamwork as they are responding to the opponent's counterattack right now. He believes that whether someone quickly returns to the camp to defend or actively blocks the pass to stop the attack, they have to respond in a unified manner as a team. If they do not match each other's signs and communication in an unexpected counterattack pattern like this, they will end up being pushed back by the numerical advantage the opponent has. The opponent team's player then comes face to face with Hyung, who quickly tells everyone to come down and help defend this attack. Hyung then starts provoking the guy on purpose, asking if he really thinks that he can break through and get past him. The guy gets furious and angry and asks if Hyung really thinks that he will fall for that provocation and lose his cool. The guy then quickly shot the ball at the goal, but Hyung already expected that he would do that and was ready for it. The ball gets to the zombie guy, who head bumps the ball towards the goal with his header trying to score. Afterward, Hyung charges forward, thinking he might be the only one who can solve this problem. He then quickly jumps forward, that shocks everyone as they can't believe, but when Hyung tries to shoot the ball inside the goal, he misses it and falls on the ground. The red-head goalkeeper then shouts at Hyung, asking if he can't do that properly. Hyung then says that he tried to clean up after that, but it seems like he don't know what gratitude is. Meanwhile, the other coach asks the head coach if he can call it a counterattack with such a slow tempo, but the coach replies that it's a great way to poke a team like theirs where speed is a weapon. He thinks to himself that there are not many teams in Group G with as much speed as they do, so that is why Sungtaek High School first revealed the counterattack card through them in this match. Sungtaek then gets a point and scores a goal, but Ho tells everyone to be patient and not panic about being behind. The other team's players then start blocking every player from Gwangjin aggressively, which makes Ho think that it is not fun because they are locking him up from the beginning and not giving him space. Ho then quickly shoots the ball towards Namju and Jonghwan to start the counterattack and get back in the game. The ball then goes towards Jonghwan, so all the players start locking onto him, but then he quickly passes the ball back to Namju, which makes it a 2-on-1 attack situation in their favor. Namju then runs towards the ball, and so does the Sungtaek's player to try to stop him, but then suddenly and without warning, the player falls on the ground dramatically. Seeing that happen, Taesik realizes that it was not like a hit hard enough to fall over like that and something is off. Hyung then tells Namju that the flow was okay and they were doing well, but it is a shame now that this happened. Namju tells him with confusion that it did not hit that hard at all, but then Hyung notices that the player who fell is actually laughing and smiling on the ground. Just then, Jongsu's other teammates also arrive at the stadium to watch the game, and they are surprised to see that Jonghwan is actually a starter and not on the bench. One of them even thinks to themselves that Sungtaek players are totally determined today, and that is the reason they are doing everything they can to win the game at all costs. Si-jun then asks Hyung with frustration if it is okay to play soccer like this, even though the opponent is wasting time since scoring and trying to run down the clock. Hyung asks him back what the strongest shield in this kind of bad soccer situation is, because based on the referee's judgment and the way he is calling the game, it does not look like they have any intention of stopping it. Bongsu and the other team's player are having a duel over the ball, and then, the guy suddenly falls on the ground like before, which makes everyone furious. The coach notices that time flies while they are lying down, as it seems like they made up their mind. The coach then thinks about a situation where tactical guidelines need to be reset, so he wonders different possibilities. Bongsu tries to make the guy stand up, but the referee stops him and shows him the red card. The referee then quickly puts the red card back in his pocket and just gives Bongsu a warning instead of ejecting him. He strictly tells him not to swear on the field or use bad language, but Bongsu says with relief that he was so scared about getting a red card, and he did not know what to do in that situation. After that incident, towards the end of the first half of the game, Gwangjin High School is still caught up in the bad soccer tactic that the opponent is using. From the beginning of the match, Sungtaek High School entered the game with a defensive stance and playing style, and there was absolutely no reason to force the game to continue in a situation where the first goal was scored and they are winning. Later in the locker room during halftime, Bongsu and the red-headed guy start arguing about the situation that happened earlier on the field. Namju then tells everyone that he has a great idea, and then he takes out an alarm clock. Namju asks them if they want to know why there was not any bad soccer tactics in the past like this, so he says that it is because there was not a clock in the past to waste time. The red-headed guy then realizes that if the opponent keeps using the bad soccer tactics and lies down to waste time, then they can also lie down and make it suffocating for everyone. Hearing that suggestion, everyone thinks that it is a boring and trash idea that will not work, and then everyone argues with each other again about what to do. Hyung then tells them that maybe he might be able to stop it and has an idea on how to deal with this situation. However, Ho realizes that Hyung is going to use that dangerous method that could get them in trouble with the referee. Just then, the coach enters the locker room and says that he already warned them to be careful of preemptive strikes and attacks, but it already happened anyway, so he says that in the first half, the entire team only had 3 valid shots on goal. He further explains that even though the opponents intentionally wasted time and played slowly, there is no need to blame the referee for anything, as he also recognized the situation and gave 6 minutes of injury time to make up for it. The coach thinks that there is no need to be nervous, even if he were to say something, these guys wouldn't hear it. He then tells Taejun that if the opponent is determined to defend, the attack opportunities in the second half will be even more limited than before. The attack route in the first half was mainly focused on the side rather than the center, where the defense density was high and packed with defenders. He says that if this pattern where Jonghwan is played is maintained in the second half, then there is a high possibility that it is going to be a failure because the opponent has already adapted to their strategy. The coach then leaves the decision and plans with Taejun to make the choice, so he tells the coach that in the second half, they will continue to attack with Jonghwan as the main attack route and primary option. Moreover, the coach tells them that in this game today, there is no draw, as Sungtaek High will decide the winner and the loser. So, he wants everyone to put their maximum efforts. Afterward, everyone gets ready for the second half to begin, but Taejun calls over Bangsu, who is already scared that he is going to get scolded by him because of the yellow card he received earlier. Taejun tells him not to be too conscious of the judgment and the referee, as the one who gets caught up in the opponent's pace loses the mental game. Taejun then turns toward Si-jun, who also gets scared because of his pressure and intense presence, as it is something he never gets used to no matter what happens. Taejun tells him that it was not because he did not have enough kicks that he missed the corner kick chance in the first half, but it was because he did not have enough defense to match his skills and abilities. He tells him that if the same opportunity arises in the second half, then he should choose a different course at his own pace and trust his instincts. Jonghwan then heads out of the locker room, but finds Jongsu standing beside a door, so he asks him what he is doing here waiting. Jongsu tells him that they all came here to cheer for him and support him, and tells him to stop looking back at his old self, as it is different from their time back then. After that conversation, the second half begins with the other team passing the ball back to their goalkeeper deliberately, which annoys Hyung and frustrates him. It turns out that the bad soccer strategy is usually when weak teams use any means necessary to buy time against strong teams and waste the clock. The point is to lie down and pass the time even in small fights during the game. However, from the perspective of Gwangjin High School, which conceded goals from the beginning of the match, it was like losing the only chance left to make a comeback. Now, Gwangjin gets frustrated because the same tactics from the first half are happening again in the second half. Myung tells Hyung to remember his face because when the competition will be over, he is going to be around everywhere and famous. Myung and he try their best to just play around and waste time, so Myung's goalkeeper tells him not to waste time anymore and turn around to attack. Just as Myung tries to turn around with the ball, Ho appears out of nowhere and tries to steal the ball from him, but Myung just sweeps the ball backwards to safety. Hyung then manages to steal the ball from him successfully and runs forward towards the goal with determination. Hyung then flexes his reaction speed and tries to bounce around the ball using his feet with quick touches. Seeing that skill, Myung gets frustrated and angry and tries to steal the ball back, but Hyung just tries to get away and avoid him. Myung then does a sweep tackle and hits Hyung's feet, which causes him to fall over and hit the ground, but Myung thinks that he touched the ball first and not his feet. Now, Gwangjin High School gets a direct free kick as a result, but the Gwangjin players ask the referee why he did not give them a penalty kick instead since it was in the box. Myung then tells Hyung that he knows very well that he was acting earlier and he has no shame for that. He then starts laughing and says that it would have been a penalty kick if it had gone in 5 centimeters more, but Hyung says that this distance is like a penalty to them. Afterward, the other team gets ready to block the free kick with all their defenders, and the coach wishes for Si-jun to do as he usually does and play his game. The others who watch the match think that he is the kicker who looks so small that they thought he was a middle school student at first. Jonghwan thinks that the free kick is the only hope to turn the mood around right now, and if they can pull this off successfully, the opponents will not be able to waste any more time with their tactics. Si-jun then goes to kick the ball with focus and Myung and the goalkeeper get back to their position to block it, but Si-jun shoots it at the top corner with precision. However, the goalkeeper quickly jumps and he manages to push the ball that hits the pole and goes back. Seeing that happen, everyone gets shocked because it was a ball that was completely headed to the corner and should have gone in. Myung quickly gets the ball and controls it, and he hits it to the other side of the field. Seeing that play, Sungtaek's coach thinks Gwangjin are not well prepared for this level of preparation and strategy, and there is a fatal weakness in Si-jun's free kick technique. On the other hand, Gwangjin's coach thinks that teams that understand Si-jun like this are starting to come out little by little now, as it was a response that seemed to see through his habit of wrapping it up from the outside in direction. He thinks to himself that even if Si-jun had aimed for the opposite side of the goal, he must have been confident that he could block it with the combination play agreed upon with the defender in advance. Meanwhile, at the same time, Sungtaek's goalkeeper wonders to himself that even though it was not a fast ball, it hit a spot like this perfectly, and despite him jumping and reading the direction correctly, it was a close call and almost went in. He thinks with concern that since they have to keep in mind Jun's mid-range shooting ability, they should not just lower the defensive line and give him too much space to shoot from distance. Suddenly, Myong and his teammates got in an argument because Myong is furious that they didn't make the defensive wall high to block the ball earlier. The guy yells at Myong that he was the one who was playing around with the free kick. Just then in that moment, the goalkeeper arrives and tells Myong not to talk nonsense to third graders and leave them alone, but then Myong tells the teammate that the coach left the defense coordination to him, so they should just follow along without saying anything his decisions. Meanwhile, Hyung, who was watching this argument happen, realizes that he found a hole in that team and a weakness they can exploit. The match then continues and keeps going with Jonghwan getting the ball and controlling it, and Myong tries to block him, saying that they look more persistent than they look and will not give up easily. Jonghwan tries to run away from him and create space, but Myong catches up with his speed and starts provoking him, saying that he was only a mediocre talent even though people used to think he was a genius back then. Seeing that interaction, the Gwangjin's coach thinks to himself that Myong is obsessed with Jonghwan even while switching with the fullback and covering him. However, Jonghwan notices that there is no one to pass to as Namju and Bangsu's side is also blocked by defenders, but then he just passes the ball to Taejun instead, who then tries to shoot a goal from a mid-range angle to score. Taejun then shoots the ball hard towards the goal, but it hits Myong's leg instead as he tried to block the shot with his body. Seeing that powerful shot, everyone wonders if it was a cannonball, because how can a ball fly like that with such force? The goalkeeper then asks Myong if his legs are really okay after that impact, but Myong says that he should not make a big fuss over something so trivial and small. Sejun is surprised that he is fine after getting hit by that kind of shot with so much power. However, the goalkeeper thinks to himself that the seniors had a hard time last year in the middle distance because of Taejun and his shooting ability, and from now on they have to tie up his feet and block the shooting attempts to prevent him from scoring any goals. After that attempt, the match continues and keeps going, and Sejun tries to pass the ball to Ji-hong to move it forward, but another player also intercepts and blocks it, and the ball goes somewhere else on the field. Ji-hong tells Sejun to calm down and relax because even a simple pass from him is shaking and not accurate, which might be because he is nervous and feeling the pressure of the game. From the audience seats, Jangsu's teammate thinks that Gwangjin looks like they are being chased even though they are in an attacking situation on the field, but the other guy thinks that it is because they have been dragged around by bad soccer from the beginning of the match. Jangsu thinks that the battle of formations is important in soccer, but that is not the problem now at this moment, as the formation itself is only part of the tactics overall. He thinks that the players on the field are not long-term partners who move only as planned and practiced, because the important thing to maximize the effectiveness of the formation is having large-scale resilience and the ability to adapt. He thinks that at this point in the game, Sungtaek High is showing organizational power that overwhelms Gwangjin High completely. The ball then gets to Hyung, who is already struggling with a player from Sungtaek marking him closely, so he just passes the ball forward to a teammate. The player tries to mock Hyung and trash-talk him, saying that all he can do is just act well and pretend to be good, and he cannot even play football properly, but then Hyung just vanishes from there and moves away. Hyung notices that the referee's position is good and he can see them, so he just steps on the opponent's leg on purpose and falls down alongside him to the ground. Hyung then starts acting that his leg is actually hurting and it's all because of that guy. The referee then shows a declaration of attack on Gwangjin, which makes the player angry, so he asks the referee why this his foul is and not the other team's. The referee says that he fell because he pulled his uniform multiple times and tugged on it, and then the referee shows him a yellow warning card. Seeing that happen, Ho thinks that those guys messed with the wrong person because they really played dirty in front of Hyung and he noticed. Ho then tells Sejun that Hyung cleverly committed a foul by taking advantage of the referee's blind spot where he could not see, and he carefully picked the guy from the opposing team who has a weak mentality and gets angry easily. On the other hand, the guy from Sungtaek gets furious at Hyung for acting, but the referee tells him to stop chatting and get on with the game. Ho tells Sejun that when he was young, he used to act like he didn't know what was going on because he didn't want to lose. The match then continues and Hyung manages to block the by secretly holding his uniform. Hyung then once again starts acting and falls on the ground, so the referee gives penalty to Sungtaek. However, Hyung wonders why the referee is not giving him the card, but just as the criteria for judging an action are different from each person and situation, the referee's decision on a foul can also differ to some extent depending on personal tendencies. As an extreme example, some people will not hesitate to take out their cards even at the slightest conflict between players, but both teams already knew that the referee's decision today was closer to the latter. The Sungtake's player tells Youngho, who is involved with Hyung again and again, that it's a bit dangerous, so he shouldn't be excited and watch the line. Meanwhile, Sungtake's coach thinks that he has to get through this defense and take out Youngho as his mentality is very weak. However, the other guy tells the coach that there is no one as good as Youngho as the right fullback, so they should just wait longer. Afterward, Si-jun passes the ball forward that Hyung and Youngho jumps to get, but Hyung gets hit by his elbow and everyone gets shocked. They wondered if this would have crossed the line, and if Youngho gets one more warning, then he will be kicked out. Instead of giving warning, the referee just gives an attack on Gwangjin's side. Hearing that, everyone then gets furious at the referee and asks him why he didn't give the warning, and even the other coach gets furious at the referee. Youngho then tells Hyung that he cannot go back on his feet now and get up, but then Myung slaps him hard and asks if he is trying to ruin the game right now on purpose. After that interaction, Myung and Youngho get into an argument again with each other, and then the coach decides to take out Youngho from the game. However, the other assistant guy tells the coach that he thought everything was Youngho's fault at first, but now it is clear that Myung has crossed the line and gone too far. He says that no one can hit a third-year student on the back like that disrespectfully, and Youngho is a popular senior among the kids on the team. So, he says that if he takes out Youngho at this time right now, he does not think he will be able to handle the complaints that will erupt among the kids due to discipline issues and problems. The referee then gets angry and frustrated and asks Youngho and Myung if they came here to fight each other or should he give them a forfeit and end the match right now. The match then continues after the warning, and Gwangjin's coach thinks that the defensive linkage is in disarray and falling apart, and if they miss this timing and opportunity, then the chance will never come back to them. Si-jun then passes the ball to Jonghwan, who then quickly passes it back to Namju to keep the play moving. The ball then gets to Hyung in a good position, but then Taejun infiltrates at a high speed and runs forward. Hyung shoots the ball towards him perfectly, so Taejun scores a goal using a head bump and header. The goalkeeper gets furious that he was completely fooled by the opponent's irregular pattern, and because the role of infiltration was naturally assumed to be that of the quick-footed Hyung. Moreover, to show that level of agility with such a large body, he didn't know about Taejun's hidden skills. Meanwhile, Gwangjin's coach thinks that Hyung and Jonghwan are so fast that they were overshadowed, and Taejun also has the penetration ability that is comparable to a striker. The head coach then tells him to replace right fullback Bongsu with Hyung Keel in that spot on the field. He further says that Si-jun is now coming down from his current position to help defend, but the coach tells him that the flow is already in their direction, so if they get counter-attacked again, it could be bad, but the head coach says that they are done with that side today and moving on. On the other hand, Sungtake's assistant asks the coach if they should try to buy as much time as possible since the second half is almost over, but the head coach is furious and angry at that suggestion. The game begins with Hyung Keel entering the match as a substitution, and Namju manages to steal the ball from Myung's shot attempt and block it. However, another player manages to sweep in and hits the ball, which causes it to go offside and out of play. Namju then tells Ho that if this flow continues, they will be able to aim for additional goals and score more, but then Si-jun arrives and tells them that in the remaining time left, all passes will be directed to Jonghwan to give him chances. The match continues with both teams fighting, and Myung notices that Gwangjin are aiming for the left side again with their attacks. Si-jun then shoots the ball towards Jonghwan, but Myung intercepts. He then asks Jonghwan if he don't know that the recipient's ability is much more important in passing. He even calls Jonghwan a piece of trash, but Jonghwan doesn't hesitate. Just then, Namju manages to pass the ball to Jonghwan perfectly, who then does a backflip move and hits the ball with power, but the ball goes straight at the pillar and bounces off without going in. Jonghwan then gives up and feels defeated, thinking he is not the genius everyone is expecting him to be, but then everyone tells him not to give up yet and to keep trying. Jonghwan then gets up from the ground after recalling Jongsu's words of encouragement from before, and then Si-jun reminds him that Jongsu is also watching this game from the stands. Si-jun recalls that Jongsu told him that he wants to see Jonghwan playing without being tied down by anything like he used to play in the past. Si-jun then passes the ball back to Jonghwan, and he thinks that he is going to prove himself because someone just trusts him with the pass. On the other hand, Sungtake's coach asks the head coach why the flow of the match feels so dangerous, but the head coach tells him to be quiet because he is always stuck on only one attack route, and he should also learn when to give up on a path that isn't working anymore. Gwangjin's coach thinks about how, ever since the beginning of football history, tens of thousands of matches have been played, and because of that, tactics and strategies eventually become fixed and familiar. The only thing that no one can ever measure or predict is the fighting spirit that players carry in their hearts. Jongwon then comes face to face with Mayong on the field and thinks that despite the breakdown of teamwork due to internal divisions and arguments, the basic defensive framework is not broken at all and still strong. Mayong then comes closer to him to steal the ball away, saying even if he only focuses on stopping him, it will not be enough to win. He then asks Jongwon if he wants to run away from this challenge that much, but Jongwon says that he has only gotten bigger than before physically, but he has not grown mentally at all as a person. Jongwon then quickly runs with the ball forward towards the goal, but the coach thinks that it is hard for Jongwon because he had been blocked by that guy 4 times already in this match. The head coach says that it doesn't matter how many times it gets blocked, as even if he fail 9 out of 10 times, the attacker only has to break through once. Mayong then tries to steal the ball, but Jongwon just changes his direction and tries to run away. Seeing that, Jongwon's class fellows thinks that the real strength of Jongwon is when the team is in trouble, but Jongsu says that they should watch it till the end. We then got a flashback where Jongwon told Jongsu and others that he didn't know they were this pathetic in football, and to them it doesn't matter whether they win or lose. He even told them that he really regrets the time he wasted hanging out with them and being their friend. Hearing that hurtful statement, everyone starts crying because Jongwon was so cold to them and pushed them away, and they really wanted to run together for a long time and stay as a team. Jongsu tells the team that just because they are breaking up now does not mean the time they spent together will disappear from their memories, and the end was just brought forward a little bit earlier than expected. He even tells them that someday Jongwon will understand and regret what he said to them and will realize how much they cared about him all along. Back in the present, everyone starts cheering for Jongwon loudly, who cannot even breathe properly from the exhaustion. Jongwon thinks that the ball at the tip of his foot feels heavy and difficult to control, and then a huge guy is in front of him blocking his path. He thinks that he cannot back down now because everyone believes in him even though he keeps falling down and struggling. He then manages to get the ball away from Mayong successfully and runs towards the goalkeeper with determination. Mayong is furious and thinks that he cannot be treated so ridiculously like that again. He then grabs Jongwon's shoulder hard and causes him to fall down to the ground. The referee quickly gives Gwangjin a penalty kick for the foul, and Sungtaek's coach thinks that they are going to lose no matter what happens now. Mayong then starts yelling at his team angrily and blaming them, so the goalkeeper tells him to calm down and relax, as it is not anyone's fault alone, but it is everyone's fault including him too. On the other hand, Gwangjin's coach is excited because Si-jun is going to shoot the penalty, but then he gets surprised to see that Si-jun is giving the ball to Jongwon to shoot the penalty kick instead. Everyone then cheers for Jongwon loudly and tells him to kick and not be nervous about anything, as they are behind him and support him completely. 2 years ago in the flashback, Jongwon was playing with his other friends on a different team, and even at that moment during the game, Mayong got angry at him and purposely pushed him on the ground with aggression. Jongwon gets a penalty kick because of the foul, and he wonders to himself why he is trying so hard for football, and what on earth is the reason did he like soccer this much to put himself through this. Everyone thinks and hopes that if Jongwon scores this penalty kick, then the match will be a tie and they will have a chance. Jongwon then shoots the ball with pressure on him, which hits the pole instead of going in cleanly, and the ball goes in the sky after bouncing off. This makes everyone think that it will fall on the goalkeeper's head if it gets caught by him. The game will be over and they will lose. Jongsu quickly runs towards the ball, and so do other players from both teams. In the blink of a second, Jongsu manages to head bump the ball that goes back to Jongwon for another chance, but he was busy crying and feeling defeated, so he misses the shot completely, and then Mayong kicks the ball somewhere else to end the play. The game turns out to be a tie and neither team wins, and Jongsu realizes that he was mistaken in thinking that the fate of the team was in his hands alone, so he collapsed too easily after just one failure and gave up. Back in the present, Jongwon wonders to himself that if he had not given up then and if he had believed in himself until the end, their ending would have been a little different and maybe they would have won. Jongwon then shoots the ball straight towards the goal with force, but the goalkeeper manages to block it with his hands, and the ball hits the pole before bouncing away from the net. The ball heads towards Hyung, who just swings his leg in the air and shoots the ball hard, which hits Mayong's chest and goes to the other side of the field. Seeing that opportunity, Si-jun and the other guy from the opposite team both rush for it, but the ball goes back to Jongwon, who manages to score a goal into the net. Everyone then gets happy and celebrates the goal, and the coach says that it was such a dirty game that he never wants to experience it again, but the head coach says that it is not over yet and they need to keep playing. The match continues and everyone gets back into their positions, but Taesik comments to Ho that just a moment ago he was acting like he didn't even have the strength to eat, yet now his attitude has completely changed. The opposing team's player starts with the ball again, saying that the match will go on for 5 more minutes. Hyung quickly runs forward, but he crashes into another player and ends up falling to the ground, rolling about 5 times before stopping. Hyung then stays lying on the ground for 5 whole minutes and wastes the remaining time. With that, Gwangjin Hai wins the match. After that, the Sungtake's player asks Hyung to stand up and stop acting because the match is already over and done with. Hyung then tells the guy that it seems like he is the type that surprisingly cools down quickly after getting angry, but the guy replies that the game is over, so there is no point in getting excited late about anything. Hyung then apologizes to him for his cheap tricks and dirty plays during the match, but the guy says that the same tricks will not work next time they play. On the other hand, the goalkeeper tells Myung that everyone makes mistakes sometimes in games, but they should not be foolish people who miss the opportunity to correct those mistakes and learn from them. He then tells him to apologize to Youngho as soon as possible and make things right, and if he does not do that, then he will regret it later for sure and feel bad about it. After that conversation ends, Team Gwangjin gets ready to leave the field and pack up, but then a girl arrives at the scene named Chaeun who catches their attention. Seeing her appearance, Hyung wonders if she is the younger sister of the coach and related to him somehow, but Ji-hong says that she might be his lover or girlfriend instead of family. Then, Ho asks them if they really think someone as pretty as her would accept the coach and be with him romantically. The coach then scolds them for talking like that and sends them back to the bus immediately. Chaeun tells the coach that she happened to stop by on her way and thought it would be fun to watch since it was a prestigious team playing. She says that when she watched the match, it felt like wasting her time because of how they played, but then the coach leaves without responding. Chaeun tells the coach that no matter what he does, he is not qualified to be in the football world anymore, and she will prove it to him soon enough. Later on the bus ride, Coach Lee asks the head coach if he knows her from somewhere, but the coach says that her name is Chaeun and that is all he knows. Hearing that name, Coach Lee freaks out and realizes that she was the girl who used to chase after his brother back in the day. Afterward, we get a flashback of the head coach, Saiwoo, where his team's captain tells him to stop pretending to sleep. The captain tells him to come out because there are a lot of fans waiting for him, and among that crowd, there is Chaeun Oswell. Later, there is a match, but at the same time the manager receives a transfer request of Saiwoo and the captain forces the manager to work on the offer. The captain tells him that this offer is an opportunity he cannot miss because Saiwoo is 28 years old and he is a player who uses physical sprints as his main weapon rather than technique. This type of player has rapid aging curve. Meanwhile, at the Incheon FC Power Analysis Team office, the Power Analysis Team leader gets furious at Gwangso, who a member of the analysis team is as well. The team leader is furious because Saiwoo's leg got injured once again in another match, but Gwangso says that it depends on the perspective of the ability and different results are produced from different viewpoints. Gwangso then tells him that he will provide further explanation based on the supplementary data and additional information they have collected. He explains that for Suwon team, which traditionally pursues a fast-paced counterattack style of play, Saiwoo was the perfect fit for their system, but due to the nature of the position of winger, he is inevitably required to be active in every game they play. However, he further says that if they look at the recent match records of Saiwoo carefully, it is surprising that frequent injuries are at the level of working more than ordinary wingers do normally. So, he believes that Saiwoo is not overworked at all, but he has a strong physique that will maintain his form for at least a few more seasons without major problems. Gwangso then says that Saiwoo's main weapon, fast speed, is overshadowed by his passing technique and vision, which are no less than those of any A-class midfielder. Meanwhile, the scout visits Saiwoo in the hospital, who gives Saiwoo a letter for the transfer clubs, but Saiwoo gets angry and tears it apart. After a while, Saiwoo's friend arrives at the room with a letter, saying it's a heartfelt letter from a cute and passionate fan. However, Saiwoo tells him that he has told him 1,000 times to throw away gifts and not accept them from fans. The manager asks him what he wants him to do when fans ask him to tell him something, like should he throw it away on the spot in front of them. Later on, Saiwoo goes to the rooftop to smoke alone, but then a kid tells him that smoking is bad for health and dangerous. The kid then gets closer to him and asks if he is really a soccer player because he is so small in size. He then sits beside him on the ground and says that he wants to be a soccer player too because he has not tried it yet and he thinks it would be really fun if he made a friend and did it together later on. Hearing that, Saiwoo gives him an example that there are 10 kids like him all over the country, and from now on, those 10 will compete and only the best one will advance. He adds that after gathering 10 people who went that far and got first place, then another first place was chosen and this cycle will continue. Afterward, Saiwoo decides to head back to Suwon because the head coach is not picking up his phone calls at all. Saiwoo then enters the Suwon club building where he asks Daekwang about the coach and why his phone is turned off and not working, so he makes fun of Saiwoo and teases him, but the other guy tells him that he is being interviewed externally and cannot be reached at the moment right now. The guy named Django asks Saiwoo if it is true that he is being paid so much salary like what is published in the newspaper articles about him. Daekwang then tells Django that Saiwoo changes teams because he is obsessed with money and only cares about getting paid, but Django says that players are also products, so if they call them with a high price offer, they will go to that team. The other guy says that even if they pay a lot of money, but as a human being, they should repay the favor because the team has given such special treatment during this time to him. Just then, another guy shows up and joins the conversation, and everyone just starts arguing among themselves about it and debating the issue, so Daekwang tells them to shut up and be quiet and asks Saiwoo to say it clearly with his own mouth what he wants. However, he gets shocked to see that Saiwoo has already gone and left the room. Later, Saiwoo heads to the manager's office, where the team leader tries to calm him down, saying that the reporters probably spread the news without checking the full situation. Saiwoo snaps back and tells him to shut up, adding that he has no intention of leaving the team before his contract expires. The manager then tries to persuade him by offering extra money, but Saiwoo insists that he's not the kind of person who can be bought. However, the moment he actually looks at the amount, he realizes it's a lot more than he expected. He then walks out of the office, but the manager reminds him to make his decision quickly. At the hospital room, the kid from before asks Saiwoo if he does not like playing soccer anymore, but Saiwoo does not reply to him at all and stays quiet. Later on, Saiwoo sits with his friend who tells him that he is here because the manager told him to convince him to stay. The guy then gets furious at Saiwoo for not telling him about everything before this happened and keeping secrets. He tells Saiwoo to remain in Suwon and not leave, because money is not everything in life, and if they do well, they can aim for the championship this season together. Saiwoo then notices that the same kid from before is being taken to the surgery room on a stretcher, so he asks the doctor about it and what is happening, but she says that she cannot disclose the patient's condition without permission from the family, but the child has overcome the major crisis and is stable. The guy named Sangwon then asks Saiwoo about the transfer situation, the same thing again, but he tells him that this is not the situation to talk about that right now. Hearing that response, Sangwon gets furious and says that this is not even the child they know personally or care about. Sangwon then says that the club is taking good care of him and treating him well, but he has no loyalty at all, even though the captain said that he would change his mind eventually. Saiwoo then tells him that he will do as he likes and make his own decision, so they should stop talking about it now and move on. 2 weeks later, it is Songnam vs Suwon's match day, and Saiwoo is actually doing a fan meeting event where Chaeyoon also participates and attends. She asks him if he is lying about transferring teams because he has so many fans who cherish him and love him, and then she starts crying emotionally, saying she will not go until he tells her with his own mouth what his decision is. The security then arrives at the scene and takes the girl away from there, while the other guy tells Saiwoo that he did not even get much rest before he returned to play, so what kind of event is this anyway? He then asks Saiwoo about what's the big deal about a soccer player transferring, but Saiwoo tells him to be careful with what he say. After that, it's the second half of the match and everyone starts cheering for Saiwoo to get to the field. However, the coach and director doesn't let Saiwoo play in that match. Later that night, Saiwoo realizes that he still likes soccer too and he wishes he can play soccer professionally again. He then gives a gift to the kid who is actually sleeping in the hospital bed and leaves quietly. The next match is between Seoul and Suwon teams, and Seoul manages to win the game convincingly. Saiwoo thinks that he wants to finish his career as a player he wanted to become someday, because he believed that the day would come when he would lift the trophy and celebrate. Meanwhile, Sangwon and the other teammates are arguing over who played the best and who was actually running hard on the field, so Saiwoo gets furious and annoyed. Saiwoo tells them that he was receiving good money to play here and he thinks that every one of them cannot play well. They just argues all the time, so he tells them that he hopes they will never meet again after this. The next day, the doctors informed the kid's parents and Saiwoo that the surgery seemed possible and an anonymous supporter was of great help. Later, Saiwoo finally joins a new team that is Incheon FC, but one reporter asks him that the day will come when he wear Incheon's uniform, and this must have been quite a shock to fans of Suwon, his former team. Saiwoo then thanks the reporter for his question and says that due to the recent news of his transfer, there may be some people who feel regretful, but he hopes many people will not forget this and that Suwon is a strong enough team even without him. Finally, Suwon vs Incheon's match begins and everyone is excited for this match because Saiwoo is going against his former team. During the match, Saiwoo gets the ball and he runs straight towards the goalkeeper with speed and determination, but a Suwon player sweeps his legs and makes Saiwoo fall on the ground hard. However, the other player of Suwon tells him to stop being a dog and just stick to playing soccer properly, and if he does something like this one more time, he will get his cheek swollen from being hit. Saiwo then quickly gets back into the game and tries to do a one-on-one with another player of Suwon who tells him that he is just wasting his energy here and cannot win. Saiwo then quickly turns around and moves to the opposite side of the field. Suddenly, Saiwo gets surrounded by other players from all directions on the field, but then he does a rainbow flick move and moves forward past them all successfully. Saiwo then easily scores a goal that surprises everyone watching the match, and with that score, Saiwo wins against his former team, Suwon, in the game. Later after the match, Saiwo decides to head out alone with his face filled with egg thrown at him by the opposing fans who are angry. The guys wonder if it is okay to send Saiwo alone like this, but he himself told them that it is a nuisance to ride the same bus as his colleagues and teammates. On his way out, Saiwo once again runs into Chaeyoon, who asks him if the money was that good enough to move to Incheon, which is practically their enemy team. She then gets furious at him and tells him not to come near Suwon again ever. Suddenly, she falls down and lollipops from her bag fall on the ground and scatter everywhere, so Saiwo asks her how much this is worth and what she wants. She starts crying and tells him to take that and leave her alone. Afterwards, Saiwo reaches the peak of his career as a player in Incheon for 3 years playing at his best, and then he suddenly announces his retirement from professional soccer. Back in the present time, Chaeyoon, who is the coach of Jonghwa High School, gets woken up by another coach, Sungmin, while she is sleeping in the office. He is furious because he cannot tolerate the fact that the guys who have a match tomorrow are leaving without permission, and after getting scolded so much last time, he is getting scolded again by the administration. He then tells her that he values close relationships with children and players, but she has to be a little stricter when necessary with discipline, because if she does not do that, then how can they hold a national competition with such a lax spirit and attitude? Chaeyoon tells him that players are not soccer-playing machines, but they are people too with feelings, so how could they think about soccer all the time every day? After that, she packs her stuff and leaves the office, but Sungmin asks her that she was supposed to be busy preparing for the 5th game against Gwangjin High coming up soon. She tells him that she has already completed the Gwangjin High strategy and planning, and she knows exactly how to deal with their coach and his tactics. Meanwhile, Coach Lee cannot believe that two people who had a player-fan relationship back then, and not only that, but they also met at the leader course at the same time years ago. Coach Lee then tells Saiwo to go out to the field, because yesterday they achieved a dramatic comeback victory, so it would be nice if he goes out and offers some encouragement words in times like these to the players. Meanwhile, Si-Jun is spending time with DOA alone, and she is expecting him to confess his feelings to her, but he is a total nerd and does not understand the situation. She asks him how long he plans on staying in a soccer club that's difficult and doesn't suit his aptitude, but he says that it's because he is slow and lacks skills, so it's hard to keep up with the training of other members. Meanwhile, a player from Jonghwa High is watching them together from a distance, and he starts crying because he wants to propose to DOA and confess his feelings. The other players tell him that the person she is hanging out with is not her boyfriend at all. Just then, Chaeyoon also arrives at the scene and tries to encourage the guy that no matter what choice he makes, no one knows the outcome for sure, but if he does not want to have any regrets, then he should give it a try and go for it. Hearing that advice, the guy goes to DOA and proposes his feelings to her, but she tells him that she is too young and runs away with Si-Jun quickly. However, the guy does not give up there because he cannot betray the trust of the coach who raised him and believed in him. He then walks up to DOA again and tells her that he is young as well. Hearing that information, Si-Jun and DOA get shocked and surprised, but the guy says that he also likes exercising and staying active, and that he is in Jonghwa High School where he plays soccer on the team. He then tells DOA that it was love at first sight when he saw her and asks her for a date later when she is free. DOA does not believe his age at all and tells him that she has a boyfriend already. Hearing that response, Si-Jun wonders who her boyfriend is supposed to be, but then she grabs his hand tightly and asks him if this is enough explanation for everyone. The guy then quietly walks away, but Chaeyoon is actually happy about it. Meanwhile, Gwangjin players are actually training hard on the field, and everyone wonders what the coach is actually thinking at that time and what his plan is. Some days later, it is the match between Songnam and Jonghwa where Si-Jun sees the same guy who proposed to DOA earlier at the stadium. It turns out that Songnam are actually performing well with their players working all together as a unit, and those players look somewhat similar with Gwangjin's style of play. Despite their efforts and hard work, they could not score an easy goal at the end of the match. How long do you think it will take for Si-Jun to truly find his reason for playing? Comment "free kick" if you'd like us to make another part on it. Make sure to like and subscribe the channel for more sports manhwa recaps.